And here we are.
Were you expecting someone else? Let's start the show.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Give me bread. Back, eat that. Hey, I want to play the beer reviews. These toasted strudels. Eat that!
We will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look, and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin, traveling in the world of our creation. What we'll see will defy explanation. If you wanna view paradise, simply look around and view right. Anything you want to do, hey, wanna change the world. There's nothing to it.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Oh, it is I, it is he, it is me, P.D.E. Temple, going into Place to Be Reviews right here with all yous, the Fandom Menace, People's Champion right here. And when I say that, I take that to heart. When you see that Fandom Menace logo at the beginning of this video, that is not something I put up there just for show. That is not something that I take lightly. I take that shit to heart. When I say I'm Fandom Menace, that doesn't change with what direction the wind blows. I am Fandom Menace, and I am a Fandom Menace ride or die. I will tell you that right damn now, and I represent this to the fullest. This is a great community full of great creators. We got a great show for you tonight, folks. Let me acknowledge my amazing chat, though. We got Frank into Shawhan, Wiener Dog Clan, ho ho. Keely Chow, the Fandom Menace Ultron, there are no strings on me. Lola Meets with the best avatars on YouTube. Superfan Adam Shawhan, Nerdy Blurb TV, what's up Ryan, a great friend of the channel. Let's see who else we got up in here. I saw a new name. We got Fun University, Daisy Divine. There was welcome to my madhouse. He says hello from Gotham. Welcome, Nano Reaper. Even when he's not here, he's here. We're gonna have Nano Reaper on to discuss Prodigal Son, which breaks my heart that they're ending that show, man. Berlanti, it's a Berlanti show too, and it's like Batwoman. The ratings were 341,000 viewers this past last night, and you're canceling Prodigal Son because of low ratings? Come on, man. Come on. Well, welcome everybody to Monday Night Going In Raw. Parrot Head's here. Hail, sir. He'll kick me some memes. Fenrir Fire is here. What's up? Hit that like button for me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm getting my voice back. It's been a while. I tried to put some video. You guys got 2 videos from me yesterday. You got the Batwoman one. Took me 7 hours to get that totally produced, written, and out to you guys. Yeah, last week I was a little low, but man, like I said, I was sick. The voice wasn't good. But I'm back. Prodigal Son, yeah, Red Hood Punisher. That's sad, man. It's got a good cast. I like the direction. It's a Berlanti show that stayed away from the wokeness, but we'll get into all that and much, much more. Let me introduce to you first, ladies and gentlemen, my co-host with the most, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tony ToneDef.
It's the owner of the worst channel on YouTube and commandered the Legion of Deaf Heads, the world's wokest warrior, primitive-sided, toxic fanboy aligned with the like-minded, Tony ToneDef rocking with you, going in raw, the place to be reviews. And you know what it is Batwoman has a point to prove. You know, Prodigal Son over here, it doesn't matter if it's entertaining and none of that. What's the propaganda level? And you said it yourself, ETEP, it's not woke. So look forward to seasons 3 and 4 of Batwoman.
Oh, stop it! You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. I don't know if my mind can take any more Batwoman after season. I'll make it through season 3 on a lot of Valium. But thank you as always for being here, brother. Let's introduce our special guest this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Script Doctor PH.D.
Hello, thank you so much for having me on tonight. It's great to chat with you gentlemen again. As for Prodigal Son, I mean that's upsetting news to hear. But then again, Fox has way different standards for their television than the CW. So I mean that's the only thing that's keeping Batwoman in I guess being produced. Like I don't know what it is. It's
a lack of standards.
Yeah, I saw last night's episode, and it was just a lot of pontification and a lot of conjecture for what it's trying to do. It was pretty painful, and
to say the least, yeah.
Yeah, and man, I just feel sorry because it's part of me is wondering are these writers intentionally terrible at their job, or are they trying to fit a plan that's being preached to them from up above, and they just don't know how to do it well, so they just go the lazy route? Like I don't know. I mean, I have no actual personal grievance with these people as people, these writers, but the stuff they put out, it's just you would be flunked out of a high school writer's craft if you were to submit a short story with the type of dialogue, pacing, and plotting of these shows.
Column A and column B, man, both.
Yeah. So
it is.
It's crazy. But I mean, listen, the CW they have got an amazing international sales agreement to other affiliates overseas. So I think they sell their shows over there for 10 times what they're actually worth, based on what they can sell them to other affiliates locally. So that's how they're able to keep their stuff afloat for a long time. And I learned this during the Smallville days.
Wow. I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Yeah, because I thought the pilot for Smallville was pretty good, and a couple episodes after that were okay, and then the show kind of went on to this very repetitive nature where they weren't making Clark Kent a kid that's happy and joyful, but an angsty teenager. And I'm like, that doesn't feel true to the framework of what the character is, even though I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to do the journey to the man. Where they're starting from is probably not the best way to do that. And then after the 4th season, I heard that they're going to be doing the goal is to do another 4 seasons after that. And I was like, really? They could probably squeeze out 2. And then by at the end of the 5th season, I learned, they're selling it overseas for so much money than it's actually worth. And Supernatural, I think, just started around that same time, and Supernatural hit off with a huge bang. And then that was basically the deal. They said, okay, we take Supernatural as our lead in for the package, and we add in all these other shows to boost up the value. And then that's what they did. And that's how you got 10 seasons of a Smallville, and that's why Batwoman's not going away, and why Supergirl is the only reason that's being canceled is because Melissa Benoist wants to take care of her newborn child. And
thank God for that. That
canceled Legends of Tomorrow and then brought it back because Supergirl's is not coming back. So
they just pulled a psych on the cast. They're like, no, just kidding. You still have jobs.
And I think even the one actor from the guy who plays Heatwave. This is his last season on that show. He's leaving because he's sick and tired of it.
Is that Dominic Purcell?
Yes, that is right. Dominic Purcell. Yeah.
Yep. See, I like him. I used to like him in Wentworth? Is it Wentworth?
In Prison Break.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Yes. And they did their little guest spots on The Flash, as the Heatwave and Captain Cold. And it was all right back when The Flash was still good, pre-season 4. That's about when I dipped out on that show. But Supergirl, I quit watching that during the first season on CBS. I was like, oof, this is.
I feel
what's crazy is that Calista Flockhart was the only interesting person on that show, and when they moved it, they're like, "Yep, she's not coming back." And it's like, well, there's no reason to watch this because you just want to hear whatever type of, monologue that she has that makes fun of whatever's going on in the current climate. She was a little bit like a parallel to, oh crap, what's her name? She was on Glee. She played the gym teacher.
Oh, Jane Lynch.
Jane Lynch, thank you. Yeah, for a second I was thinking Cloris Leachman. I'm like, no, she's not as funny. Like, Cloris Leachman's way funnier than Jane Lynch. Well, same haircut in recent years.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's kind of like what they had, and geez, just like Berlanti. People may not realize this, but Berlanti is the writer for Green Lantern, and Martin Campbell, who is the guy that saved the Bond franchise twice, couldn't make that a good movie. So that was 2014, 2015, I think. So that was pretty telling that they did not like. If you can't get a good director like Martin Campbell to save your script, you've got a lot of problems. So, and we're seeing them all in spades across all those CW shows that he produces.
And that's what happens when it's who you know rather than a meritocracy, you know?
Well, that's the other part with the industry is like it's a back and forth. There's a big section of it that's a bunch of who you knows, and some of those who you knows follow through meritocracy. They find people that are really, really good that they can't be ignored, so to speak. And then on the other side of it, there are people who are so good they can't be ignored. And that's how they get their key to go in. And then from there, it's like, well, if they know somebody that's probably not as good, but they have that tight friendship or bond or something, they bring them in. So it's a snake eating its own tail type of thing at times.
Yeah,
it
that
shows.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, well, look at the I looked up the two gals that wrote this episode of Batwoman, and I half expected to see like Helen Keller as one of them. I mean, it's just like who thought, hey, look, what we're gonna do is, and my reviews are very abrasive, but I'm very brutally honest with it, and it's. I could write a better story than this, about 15 beers in with a crayon. I mean, and they're so, like you said, it's all agenda and no substance. It's like I said, these episodes are like a pork rind. They're just everything is on the outside. It's just there's nothing inside of it. It's just hollow. It's a husk of what a story should be, and everything is so ham-fisted. It's like, okay, we get it. Every black character is a victim, like down to the very end of the episode where and spoiler alert, guys, Little Fox Luke gets shot, and it's like I could just see Cameron Johnson smiling as he fell to the pavement, going, "If they kill me off, I don't have to be on the show anymore."
Yeah.
I'm free.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. And the other part, too, they did it by the, not the police that shot him, but the Crows.
The Crows, yeah.
And it's that new character they introduced who's supposed to be like the jerk, so to speak.
Oh, Tavarov, Agent Tavarov, yep.
And the other part, too, is like, I don't understand how people don't realize how insulting it is to paint a particular ethnicity as only victims of law and order sort of thing. Because that's not reality. I mean, I know plenty of people from all different backgrounds that are like, yep, we know there's some bad cops out there. We got to, be extra careful. But for the most part, I am not a victim. And that's kind of like how you have to play it out. Especially if you want to make your point that there's an issue, you got to bring real drama into it by addressing all aspects and all angles of it. And they did not do that in this episode at all. They literally have a jail cell with your 3 black characters in there for basically just calling out a cop for abuse of power.
The one time, we're jumping ahead of topics here. This is fun though. But no, it was like the one time that GCPD shows up. It's like, I laugh because like I come from the law enforcement family, and when that cop was like, oh, that explains it. And I'm like, no cop ever talks like that unless they're like there's like probably like 0.11% that would actually act like that of, actual police officers, and I'm sorry. It's so few and far between though, but they make it look like and it's like every single one of those cops that's a dick looks the same.
Well, here's the other part that's also crazy. So I don't know if people in the audience know this or not, but if you're holding a fundraiser at a bar, you are required to have at least a police officer there for security. So you have to notify the department what you're doing, because again, it's a bar, it's established with alcohol and whatnot, it's a fundraiser, so you need a permit for a fundraiser. So if you go through all the proper chains, for getting that permit, which is really, it doesn't cost you anything actually in most states and most provinces throughout North America. they already know what's going on there. So he would have a cop on site, and if there was a noise issue, they'd be like, just turn it down, like, a little bit because we're getting complaints, and then they go back to, collecting their paycheck by just hanging out in the corner and watching things because it's usually an easy job. And the entire context of that situation just does not make any sense in any type of reality, fictional and otherwise, because it would mean that you could never hold a fundraiser anywhere or have a bar operating loud music anywhere because a cop would just come in and shut you down. It's like that's what the reality you're trying to get me to believe in at this point.
Yeah, it was a joke, but oh God. All right. We're going to talk about Batwoman a little bit. We got a new segment we're going to jump into though.
Yeah. Sorry for trailing that guy.
No, dude. No, it's fine. Trust me. It's fine. But I want to talk about this. First we're going to do, and we don't have an intro segment for it yet, cause I kind of just threw this together last minute, but this is a new segment we're going to call Buy or Sell. So we'll start with, the new He-Man series. We've seen the art. Everybody's seen the art at this point. I mean, it's not pretty. Like I said, I don't mind some yoked out females, but I'm like Tila and Evelyn and what's the other one's name? Adara are like, they're almost as big as Adam. I mean, it's just kind of funny. It's like Orko looks like an anime character.
If
Orko looks like a woman.
Fucking racist from back then, why do they keep pulling from it?
Right?
I mean, geez, isn't He-Man toxic masculinity or something? Like, why do you fuck with him? Just throw on the Dolph Lundgren movie and we'll all be okay. We'll watch that.
But with the models themselves of like the female characters, they focused all on the arms and not on the body. So it looks like these arms are like pulled off of another action figure and put on this one.
It's disproportionate.
Yeah, because there's
it's
nothing
completely.
I mean, I know some stunt women that have really good arms, but they're still able to. They say the hardest thing to do, especially for when they're working, is to maintain the feminine figure, because if they went too hard, they could literally step into the role of a dude. And on the opposite side of things, so in most of the commercials you see about shaving legs, whenever they're showing a close up of the legs that are being shaved, those are guys' legs, not women's. Every time. Only in a wide shot where you see a woman, like the woman's full body, is it actually the woman's legs. But if it's just a close up where it's like, from the ankle to the knee and it's like the camera follows it, that's a guy's leg.
Let me guess, Andy Dick.
It's Joe Namath and his Beauty Miss pantyhose.
It's usually people. It's usually actually men skiers, because they got really thin, slender legs. Like thick thighs and I guess glutes for what they have to do, but for anything below the knee, it's like twigs. It looks like. And I learned that just from being on commercial sets and whatnot. Because I remember I was doing this one for like, I think it was Dove soap, and they had like, and it's like, why is there a guy walking in here? And it's like, that's the like, model for but it's for women's soap. It's like, yep. It's like, okay, and then that's where you like learn all this stuff, and it's like, and this is back from like early 2000s. They've been doing this since the 80s anyways, just because I guess they use like a nair on the men's legs, which they can't use for the women because most women never have like a couple of nicks here and there if they shave their leg wrong on one day type of stuff. So that in order to avoid that, they get a guy with a hairy leg, they nair him up, wipe it off so it's nice and smooth, and then they do the thing, and it's within a 12-hour period they can do it, and you don't have to worry about anything, no makeup, additional makeup or covering or stuff on a woman, just in the event that the day before when she shaves her leg she cuts herself, which is rare, I'm told, but it happens, so they just stick with the guys because it's also cheaper. And it's just weird in business politics of that nature. But
now I'm wondering in the Always Pads commercials if that's really blueberry juice.
It's Kool-Aid.
It's Kool-Aid, man. That's Newberry Blue Kool-Aid, bro.
Hell yeah.
Do you remember that? I remember that flavor. That's how old I am. I remember that flavor was new, literally. Like, it was new. It was the berry blue. That flavor was.
That was 93, I think?
I think so. Oh, my God, I'm old. All right.
Hey, I'm old, too. I was a kid in 93.
I was 13.
I was close 13. To that. Pretty close to that.
Okay. All right, yeah, because like I said, I just turned 41 about a month ago. So.
Oh, happy belated!
Oh, thank you.
No,
It's
41's a good year, man. You're almost the one more year, and you're the meaning of life and everything.
well, somebody better give me a clue here pretty soon. No, I'm
Just
I'm
because
doing
you're
all
meaning
right.
doesn't mean you have the answers.
Exactly, that's the problem. They're all riddles, man. It's all riddles. Hail brightest day, hail Fenrir fire, Lola meets. No, so the He-Man thing, I'm selling this. Depending on what I don't know what it's going to stream on. Is this Netflix? Is that
Yeah,
what it is? Okay.
It's a complete
So,
Netflix in-house, so it's not related to the DreamWorks. Unfortunately, it's not related to Filmation because that's not really around anymore.
yeah.
See, here's the other part too. Like the animation is good. It's just some of the choices that they've made for the
Yes.
female characters is questionable. Like it's because if you didn't show me the women, and you just showed me Adam and He-Man and Skeletor and Man at Arms and Beastman and all that stuff, I'd be like, damn, I want to see this. Yeah, let's see where we're going here.
I thought Moss Man looked good too. They showed there was a picture of him. I was like, sweet, we get Moss Man. I saw Roboto was in the picture with the chicks. I'm like, all right. So we got Roboto. And it's funny. Roboto was a fan. A fan created that. There was like a contest to create a character, and Roboto was a fan created character.
Yeah,
And that's how he became part of the line.
What thing that I thought was really fantastic about the original Filmation He-Man episodes is how much interaction they had with their fan base. Because you could write letters to the studio and be like, hey, I really like your show and something like that. And every once in a while, they'll do a couple of like animation skits where He-Man or a character will talk to a fan. And there's a famous one that's on YouTube where He-Man is wishing a kid who is going through a tough time, all the best, and that He-Man's going to say, I'm your friend and all that stuff. And you don't have anything to worry about. And it's this really touching video. And like simple animation, just, like a medium shot from the shoulders up. And they got the actor to come in and read the script and, pour his heart out. And it's just really, really touching. And you don't get to see that type of stuff these days anymore. There's a lot of distance between the creations and the creators and the fans in that regard. And a lot of people were expecting that would have fallen away with the invention of social media, but it ends up putting up even more walls in some respects.
Well, that's the thing is like nowadays, if creators talk to the fans, they're usually calling the fans bigots or something. I don't know. It's like that's how it is on Twitter. It's like it's like, hey, how you doing? Well, it's like the whole J. Scott Campbell thing. That whole debacle. It's like he has people come out and have his back, and then he's like, well, I've heard that, and it's like, oh, the hearsay thing. It's bad because it's like you're making these broad sweeping assumptions, which is never good to do anyway. So
based on very little information, which is why whenever I see some sort of weird controversy, so to speak, I always stay at a distance. I'm like, I'm not going to make a public statement about it unless I absolutely have to, which is luckily for me, it's like never. I never really have to do it. And two, I'm not going to make a decision until I have all the information accountable because, it may not be a perfect system, but I'd rather have that, innocent until proven guilty, let 9 guilty people walk free so long as one innocent person doesn't get, thrown in jail. Not the best, but it's something that's a bit better than the alternative of just everybody's goes away. It's like we already have that horrible situation where everybody's kind of gone away. They've gone away inside their homes. We don't see people on the street as often as we used to. And that's no way to live. And so, like even when like J. Scott Campbell, I think he started off strong. He hit a big speed bump because I think he was conveyed through some people that he trusted some incorrect information. He's made some efforts to try and reconcile that, and I know he's made an apology in some respects.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you step too quickly, you stumble. And for those that he has apologized for, I think there's nothing wrong in accepting that and saying like, you know what, I understand. We can all be told something wrong and believe it for a short period of time, but to admit that mistake and go forward, that's more powerful than doubling down and saying, nope, I'm sticking to the lie or misinformation, what have you.
No, and that's you're absolutely right. It's like these a lot of these creators are quick. Like I said, they're quick to attack and they're but they're quick to block too. you see a lot of them, running chain blocks on people, but it's all the hashtags you have in your bio. And yeah, it is. It's best to fly underneath the radar as much as you can most of the time in this business,
Yep.
You want to be known, but for the right reasons.
Well, I always do the whole feign ignorance. It's like, what? I didn't hear that. What's going on? And then
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna think on that before I make a decision. But thank you for the information. And you just, you log that, you take it in, and then if you start to see a pattern, then you'll start figuring out what's really going on. And if you wish to, you can act on it. And if you don't, you can just keep riding that out. It's always the safer part. There is ignorance does breed some bliss to a point, but as long as it doesn't shoot yourself in the face doing it, yeah, it's okay, because sometimes people are just looking for that attention, especially in the industry. Like the J. Scott Campbell thing is interesting because I saw some other artists trying to pop onto that bandwagon as well, and sort of make things a lot worse. And I was glad that they weren't acknowledged and as by him as a result of that, because that was a smart move, because that would have just drawn out this conflict a lot further. And yeah, so it's a weird thing. This should not be something that happens as a norm, but it's
No.
there, unfortunately.
It is too, and that, like I said, yeah, that's not a good thing. So overall, the Masters of the Universe thing, I'll check an episode out. I'll give it a try, because the animation style does look decent. At least it's not Cal Art style, which I'm so happy it's not, because I can't take any more Steven Universe.
Sure.
That style got popular because it's simple models, easy to recreate, and easy for anyone else to emulate overseas, right? So the models that we got on the Masters of the Universe, that takes some effort and some calculation, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
You got to pay attention to what you drew a second ago for it all to look great. So yeah, that's the only reason I'm going to jump into it at first. I'm going to give that pilot a shot.
Yep.
And from there, make my decision.
And that's it too. It's like, as somebody who just uploaded his 61st Batwoman video today. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, 61 Batwoman videos. A phrase this is a sentence I never thought I would say.
That's more videos than episodes.
Yeah. Yep. I have, like I said, when all these people glom on and start reviewing it now, when it's fun too, because it's fun to dunk on it. I've been there since the first trailer was released, and I've been hurting my brain since August of 2019 when they dropped that first trailer. Yeah, and we got our yep. Yeah. Oh, that I Am Woman song. Oh God, yeah,
giving the watch to the homeless person with great nails and hair. Like, what?
Yeah, she didn't look too homeless to me. I'm like,
looked
okay.
like she just got kicked out for the night. It's just...
Yeah, go sleep at your friend's house tonight. No, oh God, yeah, I've been hurting myself for a while now, and I uploaded it today. Like I said, it's for my channel. It's doing good. It's got like 88 views in a couple hours, so I'll take it.
That's great.
Those,
great, yeah.
It is, like I said, for the way my single release videos work. Batwoman is like, I started out, like I said, as a Star Wars channel, and Batwoman is like taking over everything now. So, yay! As long as it keeps, like I said, I can't stand the show, but it's keeping me. It really helps the channel. So,
yeah, I mean, I had to put a pause on the reviews because, they started. I mean, I only had to think one review that was under like 20 minutes. But most of them are 20-minute pluses, and I have a couple that are over 40 minutes long. And the one with the bombing at prom with the girl that's hacking everybody, that one I think might almost be like almost 2 hours, because I've written the script for it and I started recording it at that time, but then I had to stop because I had other things that took priority. But it was just that one there I could pick apart for a long time. It's like, do I really want to release a 2-hour video on this 45-minute episode of? And I might do it. Like when everything kind of settles down on the work front of things, I might jump back on to that, because I have a lot of the scripts written out to the end of that first season, but I haven't I've watched casually the second season thus far, not really making any notes or stuff, just kind of like, where are they going with it? Are they going to repeat the first season stuff or the whatever? And yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. to get through.
I was angry by the end of my review today. I was like, literally, my wife had the office door open. She had to close the door because I was yelling while I was recording stuff. I mean, it was just like, oh God, just ugh. Like the end of that, like I said, the end of that where Luke got shot. I was laughing at that point. I was
Me too.
I was just like, really? What? They're like, hey, do you really want to see us jerk ourselves off? Watch this. We're gonna shoot the black guy now. You know. And that's it. But have the white guy they're trying to paint as this evil crow officer, you know, this diabolical officer Tavarov who dared to kill a bunch of homeless zombies, you know, in a drug addict church. You know, they're basically
drug addict church den. Yeah.
Yeah, they were basically doing the Lord's work at that point. You know, you put those guys in The Walking Dead, they're heroes. You know, you put them in Gotham, and all of a sudden they're villains. I'm like, they were homeless zombies.
I've got pictures on my phone. Let me get it. And the guy's like, "Good." It's like, no, cops don't do that. When if the person says I've got a phone first, they'll say slowly. Like they don't say gun and shoot. They say slowly.
Yep.
But, I mean, it just shows that the writers don't even pay attention to the very, like, I'm pretty sure they go onto YouTube and they watch all those, like, bad cop incidences and think that's the norm.
Oh, yeah.
When they're collected over years. But because they're played back to back or on, like, one YouTube video or something, it feels like, oh, this was a weekend here in, you know, New Orleans or some crap like that. It's like, no, it's not what it is.
No, it was ridiculous. But yeah, the end of that was just like, and some of the lines that Ryan had, when I'm trying to think, I've got my script pulled up though, they were just cringy. We'll talk about Batwoman after Buy or Sell.
Oh, remember that line? Someone donated a basketball court. It's like,
oh yes, and I did that in my review because I gave Ryan like the chipmunk voice, and she's like, "You're making it rain with other people's money." I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, like, did you just? And then like when Luke was in the jail cell and he said, he was like, he's talking about knowing how to handle the police, and she's like, Luke, that's privilege. I was like, I think I threw up my mouth.
Infighting.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, oh God. Yeah, the writers on this show, they have, well, the official Batwoman writers room blocked me on Twitter.
Oh man,
so did the official Batwoman account blocked me on Twitter. I'm working on Caroline Dries now. I keep tagging her in my review tweets. I can see her sitting there watching one, just motherfucker. Who is this? Because I call her out by name plenty of times in every video.
Oh wow, yeah. It's weird because like I've read some of her stuff prior to all this. When she got Batwoman, when she got associated with Berlanti, and you know she had all this potential. I'm like, oh, this is actually not bad here and there, because the stuff wasn't political in any way or shape or form. It was just, you know, basic drama, basic, you know, parent stuff where like kids don't agree with the parents type of things, you know, that type of stuff. You know, easy to understand concepts, and it's like, okay, that's not bad. And then, you know, I don't hear anything of her work for a few years. And then all of a sudden she's like doing Batwoman. And it's like, okay, I think I tweeted out to her, like, I hope you do well. Congratulations, that type of stuff, you know, polite things. And that was the last thing I did. And then you see final result and you're like, how could this woman not get a simple thing as a nursery rhyme correct, or a ticking clock, or, you know, basic narrative things? Like, who else is in the room messing around with these people? Like, is it... And then you realize, oh no, there's probably not really anyone in the room. They're just crazy.
Yeah, to say the very least. And yes, Orville Nation, to answer your question, I got blocked by the official Batwoman Twitter account, the checkmarked one, the checkmarked Writers Room account. Yep. I did do the Caroline Drives. We coming. I can't do the we coming for you. Yeah. I ain't doing it. I'm not going full Booker T. I'm not going full Booker T.
I got blocked from one of the guys that I think oversaw the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I think he made a tweet and then I retweeted it, you know, making fun of how, like, it was the laziest thing ever. There's no indication of any hard work being done by the writers, just on the crew. And then his response was, ha. And then he blocked me. Just like he doesn't even. And the other part too is so many people were tweeting at me to that I'm wrong, or not so much that I'm wrong, that I'm just don't know what I'm talking about, or they weren't attacking the argument. They're pretty much supporting the argument I was making, but just hitting at me. And it was only like about 10 or 15 people. I'm thinking, yeah, if it's only 10 or 15 people, that kind of proves my point that it didn't have the impact it was designed to have, because if I was really in the wrong and if it was really popular, my timeline should have been flooded for a very long time, because again, he retweeted what I said with the ha, so people saw me, saw my thing there. So that would be that'd be crazy, very crazy if I was wrong. But no, that the Crisis on Infinite Earth, it was basically 6 episodes where the climax is they stand shoulder to shoulder and focus. Like that's literally it, and that's not writing.
No.
And I warned one of my friends over at Bounding into Comics, Spencer, who did the who was reviewing it to write, and I'm like, dude, it's all they beat the villain by focusing. I just saved you 6 hours. And he's like, ha. And then after he finished the watch, he's like, I can't believe you were right. I thought you were making a joke. It's like, no, I'm serious. Like, it's really it's just insulting in every shape, way, or form. The highlight of that is Brandon Routh stepping back into the Superman suit and being able to being a little bit more resemblance to the character that he portrayed years earlier. And then you're thinking, man, if they just got him as in a Superman show and forgot everybody else around that production company, they might actually have something worth watching.
They did Kevin Conroy dirty in that show too.
Very dirty. Oh, but the thing is, Kevin would have. I mean, as an actor for Kevin, he loves the idea of being able to play something new and different, even if it's of a familiar role. So I can see him like not associating those choices as insulting to what he does, because it's like, oh, I get to be a bad guy version of Batman. Like that's cool. Like from talent's perspective, that sells an actor. It's like, oh, I get to do this, because it's all about a little bit more about them than the overall aspect of it. So that's why you see actors make very strange choices. And if you want, you can use this as a segue to the other thing on your notes that you sent me.
See, that is, and we're gonna check out that Snake Eyes trailer. We're gonna watch that.
There we go.
We'll put this up right now. Hey, Frankie knows. He said you should change your Twitter name to Blocky Balboa. Well, so who else I got? I think Pablo Hidalgo, Dan Slott, Chuck Wendig, Mark Wade. I think I got a few of them that have blocked me. Just chain blocks mostly, but the Batwoman, they made it personal. Here we are over here. We're gonna check out the Snake Eyes trailer, and I'm gonna turn it down. Just let me know if it's too loud. Here we go. First of all, why doesn't he have a mask on?
I am so sick of that bass line in every trailer.
Years, our ninja have brought
Yep.
peace to the world. I need warriors like you. Join us.
What do I have to do? The journey from here is yours to decide.
Nice, so it's Shang-Chi meets Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
But that is just the beginning.
I'm on a new level.
I hope China bans all of this.
That's what I think about when I think of G.I. Joe is R&B rap.
Yeah, it's like guys, we're not doing not every movie has to have a rap soundtrack to it. I don't mind rap music at all.
I love rap music. It's just when it's put into the wrong genre of film, it just is like takes me out of the immersion.
Yeah, it's out of context.
Maybe I want to listen to that song instead of watch the movie.
Right?
Yeah. Oh boy.
No, I'm not too enthused for that at all.
Everything is stupid.
They have a terrible swordsman choreographer in this film. You can tell right off the bat, that first shot where they're like on top of the cars with the swords, and it just the person in the center was so open to multiple attacks. It's like, well, what the heck are you doing? You don't want to be wide stance like that, like wide stance with your arms like that. And then, I mean, the only cool stunt I saw was that girl jumping between the two car crates and getting up on top. Like, that was pretty cool. That was all right.
Yeah.
You know, a little Matrix scene stuff, not bad.
I'm surprised they left. Isn't that Lady J? They left her a redhead.
Yeah.
I'm kind of shocked they didn't race swap Lady J. You know, let's be honest, she's a redhead. Hollywood.
They already race swapped one other, the Snake Eyes. So
yeah, the main character. Nano Reaper said Snake Eyes movie should have a J pop and J metal soundtrack. Probably. Seriously though, that kind of rap does not work with that. And it's Snake Eyes, man. And I expect, with his origin story, the way they're going with it, it would probably be more traditional, like, kind of Asian type music, but no.
Perhaps. Snake Eyes, my understanding, he's a blonde-haired white guy who's been horribly scarred and has taken a vow of silence. And so, I mean, that you'd think that'd be very easy. I mean, it isn't in some respects, but it'd be very easy for the writer to be like, okay, the main character, I don't have to worry about lines. I just have to make every action does the most impactful thing in each scene that I write him in. And instead they're like, no, I can't do that. So we're just going to make him speak. And this will be the story about his vow of silence. So like, Well,
this is the prequel too. So maybe he'll, maybe this is about him becoming white and start up.
They're
going for the die another day approach, where they have that weird device that changes their physical features so they don't look.
Yeah.
Whatever Michael Jackson used. Yeah.
No, seriously though, I don't know. I'm not too keen or not too hype on this. Just by looking at it now, no, not really.
The only thing I'm looking forward to is the new Ghostbusters, and if that's bad, I'm just throwing my hands up like I'm done.
Yeah, right.
It'd be very painful if that was bad, because Jason Reitman is the son of Ivan Reitman, who directed and produced those films. Jason grew up while those movies were being developed. He's in Ghostbusters 2 as the kid that's telling Ray that his dad thinks he's full of crap. You just don't want. And the other part too is like before the pandemic hit, he did like a Ghostbusters like special in I think it was North Carolina or somewhere, one of the East Coast southern states or mid states, and he found old footage from the original Ghostbusters film with great jokes that weren't used, that were left on the cutting room floor, and he's literally like yelling at his dad, "How could you miss this? How could you not put this line in there?" And his dad's just like, "We had so many good lines. We just some we remembered, some we didn't." And if he comes at it from that approach as a writer and director, and he's able to adopt that into this new movie, I think we're all going to be pretty satisfied. It's been a while since Jason Reitman has written something that he didn't have, that he wasn't so distant from. Because like his first movie, Thank You for Smoking, that was kind of a personal thing for him. It's probably one of the best movies he's written and directed. A lot of the stuff he's done in between there, he's either a director or he's a co-writer and director. This one here, he's back to writing and directing, and it's again another personal thing for him. So hopefully that voice that we saw all those years ago with Thank You for Smoking will ring true a little bit in Ghostbusters, and it'll be a very Ghostbusters-ish movie in the way that we all want and hope.
The trailer looks great.
Yeah.
But I'm just hoping, and I'm not, I take each person as they come, but I mean, a lot that can be said about Jason Reitman can be said about Jonathan Kasdan, as far as like growing up around the industry, having, okay, I don't think Lawrence Kasdan wrote Empire Strikes Back. He directed it, but there's always that, I feel like it can go either way.
Well, John Kasdan and Jason Reitman they definitely have the background that allows them into the industry, but, and I know this from my own experience as well, is that Jason Reitman had to fight a lot to get where he was, because so many people would just look down at him patronizingly. It's like, oh yeah, you did that, good for you, and then move along. So he had to really prove his mettle.
He's got,
and the fact that he's not as big as he could be, or at least you would think he would be, is kind of showing how wherever he is in the Hollywood sphere, so to speak, he's not fully taken seriously because, again, he has a counterpart, so to speak, who's a lot younger than him, who's Max Landis, who he blew up really quick after
John
Chronicle.
Landis' son.
And yeah, because of John Landis, and the Landis and Reitman family have their own thing. I don't know all the details of it, but I know enough to side with Reitman just because they're a bit more down to earth and grounded, comparatively. But no, Max, he's made a lot of mistakes, and I hope he gets appropriately punished for the ones that he's made. And any of the stuff that's outside of that's being blown up, I don't think that's fair. To I know what he's being accused of, and I know what's legit, what isn't, and what have you. But he was elevated very quickly, and I'm pretty sure his dad had a little bit to do with that. And then when his dad said go away, because they did have a falling out after that, that's when Max Landis' career started to pedal off. I think the last thing was the Dirk Gently series he did. And that's around the time him and his father had a disagreement. And then he did Shadow in the Clouds. He wrote that movie, the Chloe Grace Moretz film where she's on a World War II plane being transported to Hawaii, I think. And it's like a gremlin's attacking her. And I've had that script for 4 years. And I saw the movie recently, and it's pretty much, the same exact thing. There was reports that the director extensively rewrote it. No, she didn't. She changed a couple of things. I would not call those extensive in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. But I know exactly why they advertised it that, because within the industry, if you tout Max Landis' name, that puts a bad stain on the project. So I completely understand why they wanted to distance themselves from that. But I also believe in a little bit of honesty when it comes to the work at hand. And the last thing that director needs is for them to take credit for someone else's work in that regard, because she did. I mean, I'm not going to just dispute the fact that she put in some writing work. She did. But if someone weren't to actually know the details of that, they might think that she wrote most of that movie. And if they hire her to write something else and she can't deliver similar quality, they're going to be really upset about that. And that does not go well for her, because she is pretty competent as a director, especially for this being one of her earliest films, and solid as a writer. So I'd rather have her grow and develop and be awesome, as opposed to someone conflating her skills with someone else's and then having that knock her down where she can't actually show us the potential she has. Because that's not fair to her. That's not fair to us, because maybe she is going to have a movie or a show that's going to knock our socks off. And if that bites her in the butt, we never get to see it, and everybody's at a loss for that, in my opinion, right? So it goes back to the meritocracy thing that we were discussing earlier.
No, absolutely, man. And that's a good way to look at it too, especially like you said from your perspective there. It's like, if you take credit for this and you don't deliver, then you get knocked down. And if you had an opportunity to do something that is in your wheelhouse, and that's an opportunity you're not going to get because of that, the other botch. So
exactly, yeah. And the opposite is true. Like, you can look at Akiva Goldsman. He won an Oscar for adapting a book into a screenplay, which was A Beautiful Mind. And that's, I mean, in the industry, we kind of think like, okay, that's a good accomplishment, but you're not really writing a screenplay there. In that point, you're taking another author's words and stuff, and you're bringing out all the essential aspects of that novel to make the most effective story in a contained time as possible, which is still an undertaking, but you have something to draw on that's very reliable and did well on book sales internationally and had a fan base to it. I mean, like a fan base for a single novel, because it's not a franchise, right? But then he's like, oh, wait, this is the guy that co-wrote Batman Forever, wrote Batman and Robin, had terrible science fiction entries into his career, has never really been able to get the same accolades on any of his original works. So why the heck is he still got this reverence to him in certain areas of the industry? So, well, he won the Oscar at that point, which elevated a whole bunch of the people that were associated with that film's careers, and they are still in solid positions, and they feel they kind of owe him favors. So now that's why he's always in the business. And the same thing with Alex Kurtzman. He's attached himself to other people that have grown up in risen up in the executive fields, and they they want to repay him a little bit with where he is like, because they would otherwise acknowledge, yeah, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him and his crap. and yeah, it just goes into a cyclical nature, but that's just the double-edged sword of the who and versus the meritocracy part.
Yeah, that's and that that's existed since the beginning, of Hollywood. That's never going to change. That system of the who and I mean, yeah, they're like you said.
Yeah, well, and definitely the silent films, because the who is like, we just need beautiful people. Then when the talkies came, it's like, well, we have the beautiful people. Can they also act? No. Okay. Well, then we'll get people to dub over their voice in some cases, which they did. Then as the theaters and television started to become more commonplace in the 50s and 60s, people who didn't do well or weren't agreeable did not last. Like, people were kicked out pretty quick. Like, you'd see actors in just one episode of a television show, and then you never see their career ever again. And it's like, well, they weren't good. And then that kind of changed a little bit in the late 60s and early 70s, when the studios were spending so much money on projects that they couldn't sustain themselves. And then they were purchased by, like Coca-Cola and a couple of other like food manufacturing companies and whatnot. And then that allowed for George Lucas and Coppola and Cronenberg and Spielberg and Scorsese and all them to sort of like, reinvent film on the masses. And that's when you get your more crazy relationship dynamics starting up in the 80s. And they didn't really do a whole lot on that part. Like, because you were talking before the show how awesome the 80s are, and they're kind of like a peak of film. The other part too is, and the stuff that we kind of not always gloss over, but it's always like, yeah, we know it's there, but it's never on the top of our forefront, is like, the canon films, right?
Oh, I love canon films.
B movies, which they're so bad they're good, but for all the wrong reasons type of stuff. Like, they're there, but the thing is, like, they were background. Like, these were movies you'd had to search really hard to find. And what we end up having now is like kind of like the inverse, it feels like, where those terrible movies, or at least the movies that have those types of tropes, are now risen up to the top, and then the good movies are really hard to find. You have to like go to like a wiki for like movies in 2019, and then you see all the lists and you're like, wait, I know about these 5 movies because they were all talked about all year, but what about these other 100? And you're looking at them like, wait, that's a good premise. That's like, seems like something I might want to watch. And then you check it out, and it's like, holy crap, why weren't we talking about this last year? This is a great movie, And that's just kind of like the way the narrative has flipped over the last 25 to 40 years.
Oh God, yeah, they get lost. The movies get lost in the shuffle. Yeah, they really do.
Lots.
That it's sad because it does a disservice to everybody that's involved with them. I mean, big time too. That and you mentioned canon films, and honestly, one of my favorite movies, and I'm not even ashamed to say it, is Avenging Force with Michael Dudikoff and Steve James. And I'm a Golden Globus. I'm a Golden Globus
nice.
Kid.
Yeah.
That
well,
just
they were the
totally,
video store
like,
movies.
that was like, those were the movies like American Ninja and all those. Like I grew up watching those.
Yeah, I think there's like a Blind Ninja Gaiden or something, like something of that nature. Is a Blind Ninja something series that not canon, but like one of the canon like Golden Globus production companies did. Because like in the 90s, me and my friends, we'd call those like the rental movies, like the video store movies. You'd only ever see them in video stores. You'd never see them in theaters. You'd never see them on TV or cable. It's like, oh, you got to go here, and they have good cover art, and you'd watch it and you're like, what the heck is this? This is silly as
anything. Give me anything by Andy Sedaris. I love Andy Sedaris movies. Are just the Malakali, the transport company, the plane is always in the same,
Hard Ticket to Hawaii.
Hard Ticket to Hawaii. Yep. We watched all those on my buddy's channel. We had like an Andy
Savage
Sedaris
Beach.
kick.
Savage Beach. That was sexy. Yeah.
Return to Savage Beach.
Yep.
They all have the same weapons. There's always like a radio controlled vehicle that's a bomb.
Yeah.
Those movies were fun. They were bad.
Yeah.
Like they were like one of my favorites is Miami Connection.
Oh yeah, actually that just doesn't need to be touched as a movie. Just watch it.
Yep. Yep, that is the Miami connection is just like leave it alone. It's perfect. But we're going to let's see. I'm gonna hit this up right here. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do just the headlines right now. Let me find the intro for that. See, I had it and then I lost it because I have 9 million of these. Here we go.
Kick your fucking ass! I want you off the fucking set!
It's not my Luke Skywalker.
Hey, no, don't just be sorry. Please, for 1 fucking second.
All right, so our number one headline today, AT&T officially set to merge Warner Media with Discovery in a $43 billion deal. This came to us from Screen Rant. This is huge. This is a huge deal. And Script, I think you probably have a pretty good handle on this one. What does this mean for what's coming from entertainment now from them?
It means that AT&T is basically escalating the streaming wars. They're saying they're not going to be fighting for 4th place. They're going to be fighting for 3rd, behind Amazon and Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
HBO Max. I predicted this actually on Midnight's Edge After Dark. I think like a year ago, right when HBO Max launched. I said because they have such a good back catalog, they'll be very lucky if they play smart and try to make sure that their subscriber growth isn't like peaks and valleys, but like a consistent rise.
Mm-hmm.
And even though the subscriber that ends up being a little bit true, like that, if you take a look at it over the last year or so, it's got a slow and steady increase, and it doesn't look like it's going to have any huge giant bumps. I mean, they did get the one bump from announcing the Snyder Cut and Wonder Woman 84, but outside of that, the decline did not drop as greatly as a lot of people feared. It ended up just being like a little bit of a drop, but then it started to slowly go back up again. And if they maintain that rate of growth, especially with bringing in all the content that Discovery produces, which is your daytime unscripted television. So you're like HGTV, all the shows there like Property Brothers and home decor stuff and
all the stuff my wife watches.
Yeah, you know things that are like interesting for personal at home, better lifestyle, all that type of stuff. Those are really cheap to produce, huge on financial return. For Discovery, those types of channels and shows was like what Star Trek was to Viacom prior to the split and to Bad Robot getting involved in Secret Hideout and all that stuff. It was like a means to print money, enough to help them, get loans and leverage things for bigger projects, but not enough to elevate them into a huge stratosphere sort of thing. So it's like that sweet spot where you can always rely on it type of thing.
Okay.
And with AT&T having these two merged together, if they put it through like their HBO Max streaming service, or if they create an ancillary streaming service that's packaged together with HBO Max, they will end up then dominating the market, because here's the awesome aspect of it. They put in their back catalog of Discovery shows on HBO Max. Anyone who ever wants to take a look at or remember a home renovation show or something that they didn't see all the way through because life got in the way, they can go back and find that. And it might still hold relevance, or you can see the evolution of things. It's like, because sometimes they do specials where they would renovate a home in like 2001, and then the Property Brothers will go back there in 2008, and it'll be new homeowners, but it's the same home, and so they know everything that's going on inside of it, and how to redo the stuff. And you can go back and watch that episode on a streaming service a lot easier, because you don't have to wait for it to be re-aired on HGTV or what have you. And so that's actually really interesting. And then the bigger part of it is that Discovery has a better infrastructure on how they create their content compared to Warner Media right now. So that's probably going to be consolidated. A lot of people are probably going to have their contracts negotiated to close out earlier than intended, and they'll have to find new jobs, which they will find easily anywhere else. And it might mean that there's going to be a bit more of a focused direction for their upcoming content. And what's also interesting is that as this deal was announced last night, and some more information has been coming in through the day, we've been learning that J.J. Abrams and his $500 million contract with Warner Brothers for DC films seems to be looking to be more like just a license to use the Bad Robot name in association with those films, as opposed to J.J. being like knee deep into the properties themselves. He's pretty much just a background producer at this point. So that's also something that's interesting. And I would say if you're curious about the direction for the DC films coming up to keep a close eye on that, because we don't know what's going to happen here. If Ann Sarnoff and Toby Emmerich and John Killar are all kind of like on the chopping block, so to speak, right now.
And Sarnoff seems to be like the enemy of the people, the DC fans that want more of the Snyder stuff, because she's, adamantly against it. As she's come out and said publicly after the release of the Snyder Cut, that's it. Now it's on to this, and it's JJ's, and the whole Ta-Nehisi Coates debacle with Superman, which that's a whole nother.
That's another part, but the other part too is that in the industry, especially, if they're always looking for something new.
Mm-hmm.
So the Snyder Cut and Zack Snyder is considered old, and the numbers kind of speak to itself. They did not hit the targets that Warner Brothers wanted.
Yeah.
So it's considered a failure, even though it's got a huge fan base. I may not agree with their love of that. I think Zack Snyder did to DC what Rian Johnson did to Star Wars.
Yes.
Yes. And I think that's exactly comparable and fairly comparable. And it just does a disservice to the cast that they got involved with those things, because I think Gal Gadot is not my Wonder Woman. I think she's a competent actress. She's very charming and beautiful, but I liked the fact that they decided to go with Ben Affleck for Batman. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like Henry Cavill. He was a little dicey at the start of his career as Superman, because he was of that old mentality, but he kind of grew out of that and became more true to himself, and he's doing well by the people that like him and laud him, and he's I really wish I could actually see him play a Superman, like an actual Superman.
Yep.
I don't know anyone else was, but with all the advertisement of the Snyder Cut before it was released, you got the impression that there's going to be a lot of Superman in this movie, and then when it actually gets released, you realize, oh no, it's like 12 minutes of Superman in 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, that's just kind of a waste. We got more Superman in the Joss Whedon cut than we did in the Zack Snyder cut.
It didn't really seem fair, did it?
Doesn't seem fair. Doesn't seem beneficial.
No.
And Warner Brothers, despite all their mistakes, the one thing that they're doing is what a lot of people wish Disney would be doing with Kathleen Kennedy. They just want to distance themselves publicly from this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not getting what they wanted. They actually, because here's the other part too. Warner Brothers, even with some of their silly agendas and mistakes, especially with like the Birds of Prey or the Fantabulous Emancipation of Harley Quinn, whatever they want to call it, they did the test. They realized it's not going to work. And when Joker made $1 billion without the Chinese market on a $50 million budget, Warner Brothers went back immediately and said, yeah, we're making money again. We're here to make money. And to do that, it's not so much like, satisfying the fans of their wants, but just satisfying the fans with great content, because that's what they're going to want, right?
Yes.
Like if the whole fan community said, we want you to make this movie this exact way, you'll get a great opening weekend box office, but you're not going to get people coming back again week after, because you're not going to be able to surprise an audience. And that's what we like. Like so many people, you have that question, what movie do you wish you could watch for the first time all over again? Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you need. That's what you need with when you're creating new content. You want to make sure that they're watching it for the first time. Mm-hmm. And if you rob a fan of that, you end up hurting your business model. You don't want the fan to be 20 minutes ahead of the movie and not be surprised or excited or get that adrenaline rush. So that's what's being of an issue. So in that regard to Warner Brothers, I think they're right for saying, yeah, maybe we should just let Zack Snyder do original stuff and not DC stuff right now. But at the same time, what they're bringing in as an alternative is not good either. And I think AT&T is well aware of that. And I think with this merger, that could change, because while things have been approved for development, nothing's been greenlit for actual production. So until it's greenlit, it's not going to happen yet. So the Ta-Nehisi Coates Superman thing, that could change. That might not be a thing. Because of the Snyder Cut re-release on HBO Max, I believe that extends Warner Brothers' license on Superman as a character for another 7 or 8 years, so they don't have to really rush anything at this point.
Okay.
But alternatively, if they were to do, say, the Calvin Ellis Superman, or make Clark Kent, Kal-El, a black Superman, that would allow them to license that out without having to pay royalties to the estates. So there's always that aspect to it. It's a lot of legalities, unfortunately. But yeah, all I can say is that this is going to be very good for AT&T, because unlike their competitor with Disney, AT&T as a service provider for phone, internet, and cable has that continual source of income or revenue.
Yeah.
And with Disney and the parks being shut down and kind of up in the air for the next few years, doesn't have that ability to offset their costs, but AT&T does. So it doesn't matter how many companies they buy up and how much debt they buy into that. They're always going to have a source of revenue to come in where they can, mitigate that debt or leverage it off to another company and have that company just collapse, and then they don't have to worry about as much debt on the other side of things. And yeah, and that might be the case that they're going to do with, like, I think WB Gaming.
Okay.
They want to sell that off. They're not going to sell DC Comics Publishing. They're most likely going to license it, because if they were to sell that DC Comics Publishing, that would cause an issue with any new characters that DC Comics Publishing would create in the meantime that would then not be owned by Warner Brothers. So or AT&T at this point. So I don't think AT&T wants to give up that potential. So it'd be better for them to license it out. And then if some writer were to come in for DC Comics and create a new character, it wouldn't get published until Warner Brothers and AT&T were to negotiate how the creator rights are going to work on that, which means it give them more control. So that would be, just from my understanding of how the industry works and how they want to do stuff with characters and licensing and franchise potential, if AT&T did sell the publishing arm and just retain the rights of the characters they have now, it would really be bad for business, because you never know. Someone might come into DC, create a brand new superhero that just blows all the others away, like we've never seen before. And now that might be something that another studio gets in their hands on, and now Warner Brothers and AT&T can't produce those films. And
yeah, it's kind of like Marvel with the Hulk, because Universal still has the rights to the Hulk, so they can't do any solo movies, which honestly, as long as Mark Ruffalo is playing the Hulk, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, like
I'm not a big Mark Ruffalo Hulk guy, so
they can't do solo Hulk movies, but they can do solo Hulk TV.
Yep.
So Universal has got those rights for a while. I don't think they're going to get rid of them anytime soon, but don't be surprised when Disney decides to try and buy them, some sort of thing from Universal. Universal is also doing really well, especially through Comcast, NBC, and their streaming model of Peacock, because Peacock has it's a free service, it's got a partial paid service, and then it's got a paid service. So they got 3 tiers where you can get all the same content, and at different stages, of course, but it's so open that anyone can use it, which means that they have a larger reach. So they can not only gain a subscription status from 2 tiers of their users, but they also gain ad revenue status on all their free users and on their mid-tier users. So they're constantly going to be getting in revenue through advertisement that way. And whatever they don't get in advertisement on those 2 tiers, it's going to be supplemented by the 3rd tier that doesn't have the ad, that has the streaming service without the ads. So unless they make terrible content, it's a win-win for them. And they have a good back catalog. I believe they're showing like Battlestar Galactica on there and some of their other shows that NBC produced itself. Friends, I believe that reunion is going to HBO Max, but I think NBC Universal has to co-finance that a little bit, because again, they were the ones that kind of broadcast the original show. So there might be some stuff there. And also they're getting The Office. So Peacock is going to have The Office.
Yeah, that hurt me, because I used to just watch The Office on loop on Netflix for like whenever I was like I couldn't figure out what I wanted to watch, I would just default to The Office. I love that show. I do. I really do.
I enjoy that show. I like Parks and Rec more, just because it's a bit more charming.
Yeah, Parks and Rec. I fell in love with that show like I was on a plane. And I would watch that and 30 Rock for like 6 hours. And,
30 Rock also fantastic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's I think pay very close attention to what's going on if you're into that business type of stuff for AT&T, because they pretty much just opened up the door and said, yeah, we're so confident we're gonna not lock our house when we leave anymore. Like, try and come in, into their turf, sort of thing.
No, I give them some props for swinging them like that. It's like they're stepping up in the game. So everybody's trying to knock Disney down a little bit at a time, and that house of cards will fall eventually. you know, that that they can't stand forever, like you said, especially with the parks being in question, and their revenue sources. It's a big. That's Disney overextended themselves.
They did, and I mean AT&T is technically doing that as well. But short of a giant EMP going off in the atmosphere to kill the internet, they're going to be pretty good. But they're also in that position where if they can knock Disney out of the top, the top tier, so to speak, it allows for competition in the industry to actually start up again. Because right now Disney's pretty much known as the Marvel movie studio. Like that's what they make Marvel movies. If you think about like the Disney princesses and all their other family stuff, they're few and far between and don't generate as much interest publicly as Marvel and Star Wars. And Star Wars is also in a struggling state at the moment. Nobody's knowing what's going on there. So yeah, we and because Disney has their own politics and they're at the top, everyone else in town, at least the ones that have a lot of money and influence, want to follow that trend so that they can stay in a conversation and, you know, keep making stuff. But once they're out and another studio rises to the top, whatever their ideology is going to be will be the new norm. And if we're lucky, that ideology will be, we want to make money.
Yeah. And speaking of Disney princesses, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Red Gaze to the show.
What up? So sorry. Fell victim to old manism. How's it going, Scripps? It's been a while, man.
Well,
awesome.
How are you doing?
Got some new
you got some new animated pages for SUNSWORN, I see.
Oh, finished pages. Yeah, man. Updated the page just a little bit. Yeah, I literally fell asleep in the chair with a blanket on my lap, just like I was, 79 years old.
Were you eating a grilled cheese and had a bowl of tomato soup there too, watching Matlock? Jesus.
Oh,
negative.
That sounds like a dream to me.
It does sound good, honestly. Like I said, I've been sick for like the last 4 days, so I may or may not have done that at noon, watching like, I don't know, what was that, like the Match Game or something on the old Game Show Network. You know what
the best thing to do? Watch old episodes of Columbo.
Oh God, I watched that on what is it, like? Is it Clue TV? They play those on?
Yeah, there's Clue TV. There's TV Land. I think A&E still has them. Like I got the Blu-ray.
Peter Falk.
I got the Blu-ray of all their specials and stuff, and it's just it's so great because it's timeless TV. Like even though it's got like an episode in the 60s and a bunch in the 70s and some in the 80s and 90s, the dialogue and consistency of how they do it is like, this is how you find a voice where you can write a story in any period of time and it'll be translatable to any other period of time. And
yeah, man.
And it's just so good. And it's just fun. Yeah.
I keep telling Etep I love Matlock. I don't understand the hate.
I always just associate that with old people, man. It's like I was telling the kids at school the other day. It was when I was there last Tuesday. They were saying something. I was like, "Yeah, I was sitting around watching Melrose Place," and one of the moms looked at me and goes, "You watch?" I was like, "I own half the series on DVD. Yeah, and Dallas too. Judge me." I've done
that a long time ago, and I've made my peace with it. It's okay.
My grandma started me. I've told Tony this story. My grandma started me watching Dallas because she wasn't supposed to drink. And on her back porch of my parents' house where I grew up, they had this old 50s like Frigidaire ice box, and in the bottom was the crisper. And my grandma would get a 6-pack of was it Miller High Life and shove it in the back. It's my mom's mom. Shove it in the back of that, and Dallas would come on, Petey. Go out to the refrigerator out there and get Grandma one of those gold cans. All right, Grandma. Go out there and she'd pop it open. She'd be like, take a sip. And I'd take, she goes, and she'd take a drink and she'd sit back and light her Winston or Monarch 100 that was like this long and be like, now you can't tell on me.
Oh, yeah, you could take an eye out with
your grandma was awesome.
Oh, yep. She was an old, Polish Hungarian gypsy. That's my grandma.
That is weird. I would not expect the gypsy to be integrated into that for Polish and Hungarian, but hell yeah.
Hungarians, man, they're the gypsies. That's my mama's side of the family.
Hey, now don't you know that gypsy is now a bigoted term? We're supposed to refer to them as Romani people.
Wait, is it even if you are one? I mean, even if you have that in your background?
Absolutely.
Really?
In D&D especially, they really hammered down on that in the Ravenloft setting.
So I can't make fun of myself for being like, being Hebrew and not being good at math either. I mean, that's
no. If you're trying to have fun and throw some humor around, it's wrong.
Let me get my Russian hat on and start talking like my Russian counterpart. Hello, I am Yuri Grabovich. Hello, welcome to Communist United News Transmission Service. You can figure out what it stands for in acronym, my friends. But all right, let's go on to the second headline. Red, we're in the middle of just the headlines here. We've been going for.
My bad. You see how a senior citizen just walks in the room and takes control of the conversation.
It's all good, man. We've been going for an hour and 20 minutes, and we're in the opening. We're in the second segment of the show, so we haven't even touched any of the top. It's all good. It's fun.
Yeah, I've been rambling too,
nice.
Dude.
so worry.
No, because we got into Batwoman early. Batwoman was like our first topic, and we got into that like in the opener. So it's all good. It happens, man. Things flow. Number 2, speaking of things flowing, Amber Heard reportedly eyeing a Harry Potter role now that Johnny Depp's gone. This comes to us from WeGotThisCovered.com.
She just tried to come in and swoop up everything that he was involved in.
Wait, you're talking about the prequel Harry Potter series, the Beasts? Let me
look up.
I can't remember what it is.
I gotta pull the article. It's from We Got This Covered, so I didn't really take it too seriously.
That's very good.
Yeah. Let's see.
I could never get into Harry Potter because like I was a kid that I existed before Harry Potter, yet people would call me Harry Potter. It's like, first of all, I'm taller, I'm older, I'm handsomer, and if I were to do a British accent, it wouldn't sound like a woman.
Yeah, fantastic.
I like Daniel Radcliffe. I've met him a number of times. He's a really cool guy.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I mean, he doesn't deserve to be compared to me, and I don't deserve to be compared to him. We're very different people.
We exist in separate spheres. Yeah, different planes of existence.
It makes it any better script. I've never gotten Harry Potter from your avatar at all. I've Star Trek maybe. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, don't. Yeah, I'm cosplaying as McCoy right now.
I was gonna say that's what I always saw. The Avatar was like Star Trek.
Yep.
But yeah, it's Fantastic Beasts that she was looking at getting involved in.
Right.
Yep. And yeah,
they don't have any beds on set, do they?
They just lined everything with plastic if she was on set.
Listen, the whole thing with her, that's really up in the air. I try to follow it, but it's just there's so much information flowing around. Props to that Umbrella guy, and
I was gonna say, yep,
for doing his best to keep that on track, because that's hard too.
Oh, and his channel got hit. He couldn't stream for like 7 days. So it was Tiny Tug streams. It was Tiny Tug. But yeah, I know his channel got hit. He couldn't stream for, like I said, it was like a week or something. But yeah, he's been following that. Him and another one is Stevie J Reviews. He's with the Fandom Collective. He's another channel. He's I think 2,000 subscriber channel, maybe around there. So decent sized channel. As far as I'm concerned, I'm like, I got 600 some subs. So
yeah, like
I haven't talked to Stevie J in a minute.
I haven't done videos in a while, so I haven't been able to keep up with that. But 2,000 subs, that's nothing to balk at, and that's pretty awesome. Yeah.
No.
But if he's also doing really good work, giving filling in the gaps or anything that's being missed or what have you that Tug hasn't had, or giving more stuff so that you could see both of them, you get the better picture. That's always beneficial to people who are curious about this this topic. But I don't know. I think Rowling is still kind of supportive of Johnny Depp. And last I heard, I don't think Johnny Depp is officially out. I think Warner Brothers made like a statement. A vague statement that things are under negotiations, but nothing has been confirmed as far as I know. If that's changed, and you know, in the chat, let me know. But otherwise, I think things are still kind of up in the air.
Yeah, because what they were talking about replacing him with
Mikkelsen has taken his role.
Yep, Mads Mikkelsen.
Oh right, I forgot about him.
I think should be playing Doctor Doom. If you want,
I think John Krasinski should be playing Doctor Doom. He's already got the shape of the face for it.
And that's the thing is everybody wants him to play Mr. Fantastic, but he would probably make a good Doctor Doom. But I would just see him as Evil Jim.
But isn't that Doctor Doom technically?
Yeah, Evil Jim.
Yeah,
with a bigger budget.
That's the other part too. Even when I watched him as Jack Ryan, it's like I can't knock off the Jim Halpert stigma that he's got. And on top of that, his wife
Oh,
his wife doesn't have. I mean, she's gorgeous and stuff, but she doesn't have a Sue Storm look, in my
no.
opinion. I would, and I also, I mean, I think a really interesting part, and it's probably going to be something Marvel Studios is going to have very difficulty pulling off, and probably won't, is there is around like a 15 to 20 year age difference between Reed Richards and Stu Storm. And that's kind of frowned upon in some circles, especially in the crowd that they were going to try to appeal to. Because that's kind of like, is it really love, or is Reed Richards grooming Sue Storm? It's like, because they're going to go that way.
Yep.
And the Fantastic Four, the other part too that always keeps getting screwed up is they're addressed as a superhero family, but they're not. They have the brand of what you would say is a superhero, but they're really just a family of scientists that they don't go out on patrol.
Yeah.
They don't go looking for trouble as much as you'd expect other superheroes to do. They're doing their own thing, and sometimes, an authority or someone comes to them and asks them for their help, and they get involved and do something. Or, Reed Richards is conducting an experiment with a new satellite, and then he sees something going on in Latveria, and when he zooms in on it, it's like Dr. Doom is doing something crazy. We got to stop him because it's going to lead to world domination, and that's how they get involved. It's very kind of like reactive, and the biggest misstep that has been happening, at least with the last two official Fantastic Four franchises, is they don't go that route. They're trying to sort of play both ends, like the scientific family, the technically government contractors that they are to a degree, to a superhero team. And and if they try to repeat that again, I think regardless of the Marvel backing and the team that they have involved with their writing of features, I don't know if it's going to be as successful as something like what they did with Iron Man and Captain America and Thor, and for a little less, for actually a huge impact, but a little less of a result. Ant-Man actually became in the conversation, which they've been trying to get for decades. Just to be like be able to say, yeah, I can talk about Spider-Man, Ant-Man, and Iron Man all in the same sentence, and people know what I'm talking about. It's like that's been a hard time to reach, and so Fantastic Four is probably going to be the closer for their Phase 4 lineup, if my understanding is correct.
So they're gonna, at least they'll save the best for last if they do it right. Then I mean,
if they do it right and it's the best one, it'll be the close off. So Phase 4 is the dawn of Fantastic Four, and then your Phase 5 will be Fantastic Four probably leading the way, and maybe Doctor Strange kind of going into the background a little bit. And that's a speculation, really. I have no idea. I wish I did, because that'd give me more comfort right now, because I think only Mikey Sutton over at Geekosity Mag has any idea what's going on, and even then he's getting mixed reports, because they were talking about Jennifer Lawrence as Sue Storm for a while, and they were talking about the Krasinski family coming in, and then that kind of fell through, and all sorts of weird things going on. I think, I wish we had more information on that part.
I think Jennifer Lawrence would be a huge mistake.
I've had quite enough of Jennifer Lawrence after she's ruined the mystique.
You know what's funny? Willis Day, that we were talking about in the DMs, would make a good Sue Storm.
Oh, she would. Wallace Day,
Wallace Day, yeah, sorry.
She definitely. I think she would fit that role pretty well. She just needs the right vehicle to showcase her talents. That's the thing. She's not getting it in Gotham City and Batwoman.
She wasn't getting it in Krypton either.
Yeah, see, I've never seen Krypton. I have never.
Yeah,
seen
don't.
I won't.
I will say this though: if you're looking forward to the new Foundation series that's coming up on Apple Plus TV, David S. Goyer, who's writing that, he wrote and was showrunner of Krypton. So you'll probably see a lot of familiar tones being adapted from that Krypton show into this Foundation, because that's how he got Foundation, is because people at Apple they liked what they did with Krypton, and that's they had big towering spires on Krypton and weird Game of Thrones politics and stuff, and the quote unquote geniuses at Apple who wanted to do Isaac Asimov's Foundation adaptation thought, yeah, that'd be a good idea for David S. Goyer to come in and ruin. And I hope he doesn't ruin it, but I don't think it's going to be as great as they're hoping, which is unfortunate.
Let's see. We'll go to.
I'm sorry with all the segues off the headline. We got this covered too.
It's all good, man. It's all good. No worries. Number 3, Zack Snyder claims Warner Brothers tortured him throughout finishing the Snyder Cut.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
You know what the torture is? We're spending $80 million on this. It better be good.
Right.
We're spending another $80 million on a movie we spent $120 million in 2017. This better be good.
I could just see him. Zach, do we really need all this slow motion? Hey, Zach, you go from a slow motion.
Slow motion, I think it was. That's what they said.
Yeah, and I hate, like I said, I watched it, and then I watched Mahler's review, and then I watched it again, then I watched Mahler's review, and I was like, Mahler was right.
I haven't seen Mahler's review. You know what's sad? I want to see Mahler's review because I've seen his unbridled rage on The Last Jedi.
Oh.
That's the only video of Mahler's I've seen, which I love. I think it's great. But I have all these other ones queued up. I just haven't gotten the time to see because they are long, which I have no problem with. It's like, okay, I need to sit down and listen to these points. So I really want to check them out, but it's just, I don't have the freedom of the time yet. And I also think that if I don't sit through at least 1 hour of it at a time, I'm not going to get the full value out of the video. So yeah, like that's the part I have an issue with. But I think Zack Snyder's quote about torture, because he only makes one quote, which is like, yeah, they kind of tortured me, and I think it had more to do with the fact that he's like, oh, I want to do Green Lantern here, and they're like, no, you're not doing Green Lantern, and if you do, we're gonna shut you down. Like, and that's fair. I mean, Warner Brothers was really hurt with Green Lantern. They thought that was going to be their parallel to Superman and start their cinematic stuff, and it did not do well at all. And
well, that's because it sucked.
It did suck. There's literally a scene where Hal Jordan goes to the Guardians and says, you have to help me stop Parallax on my Earth. And they're like, no. And then he's like, okay, well then let me go back to Earth and stop Parallax. And it's like, they didn't even say you couldn't do that. They're just saying, we're not going to help you. Like, big difference. Like, pay attention to what you're saying, and it was a terrible, terrible script made by Greg Berlanti. And if you read his Flash script, which he also wrote a little bit earlier than that, it's pretty much season 1 of The Flash, and just condensed. And it's still also not all that great either. I've said this before. If they made Harrison Wells really Barry Allen from the future, way better twist, way better man versus self allegory. You make Tom Cavanaugh, who's this awesome character actor, yellow, essentially the Reverse Flash, Eobard Thawne. You just kind of suck all the air out of the sails, so to speak. It's just, oh great, he's all right. No, okay, so you're going that direction. You're not going to have somewhere new. You're not going to have somewhere fun. You're not. You're going to make it all about the time travel stuff, which.
It's good. We only do new when it's not fun.
It's always about the time travel. It all goes back to the time travel.
Which is time travel is such a tricky thing. I tell you what, I've avoided that like the plague in anything I write.
You should, because it's so hard. I mean, Back to the Future took 10 years for them to do that first movie, and on the script.
Yeah, it's very difficult, and it's also way too convenient for my liking.
It can, yeah. Like I liked in the comics the cosmic treadmill where you could go in the future and the past and stuff. It was anchored to that device. When Mark Waid invented the Speed Force, that ruined the Flash because it's no longer a limitation to the Flash. He now has this unlimited dimension that he can draw from to do anything. So you now hamper the Flash by giving him the same issues that lesser writers had with Superman when they made him so powerful he could blow out a star, type of thing. And on top of that, like you have Flashpoint, where the concept of how it works is flawed, but the execution of the alternate Earth and Thomas Wayne as Batman, all that stuff is really cool. But it goes down to the point where he goes back in time to save his mother from being killed. And somehow that affects Kal-El from landing in Kansas into Metropolis, which shouldn't technically have happened 10 years before, Nora West was killed. Like, because time travel, the concept of time travel is that if you change something in the past, from that point on, changes the future, not from the point on, and also to the past. It doesn't ripple that way. Like, even in quantum physics and temporal mechanic theories, they're like, how would something changing now affect the past? instead of the future to follow. Like it's cause and effect is a very important term here. And
Right.
Flashpoint ignores that completely because it's like, okay, yeah, there's no Superman now because he's in a government facility under a red sun 10 years before Flash's mom dies, because that makes sense. Because he went back in time. It just all falls apart too easily. And and yet they're trying to figure out a way to do that for the Flash movie, which is the slowest developed movie about the fastest man alive.
Yeah, they've been working on that movie for a minute, and like I said, I would cancel the TV show, but use Grant Gustin in the movies instead of Ezra Miller. But that's just
I don't like Grant Gustin either.
Oh, really?
He's doing a Dane DeHaan impression. And if you know who Dane DeHaan, and he was the Green Goblin in the Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah,
he was Valerian in Valerian. He was the bullied kid in Chronicle. He's got this fake deep voice thing he's doing. I actually more am a fan of Lucas Till to play the Flash because, for starters, Barry's a blonde boy.
Yep.
Lucas Till has shown in MacGyver that he can at least convincingly say the lines convincingly, because it sounds like he knows what he's talking about, because either he understands the words he's saying and he presents them in a way that doesn't seem like techno babble, compared to Grant Gustin and whatever's going on over there, where they're talking about quantum entanglement and they're just throwing stuff around, and it's like, I know a little bit enough about physics to know that's crap, because even if I don't know something and I do a quick Google search, I'm like, wait, that does not correlate to what was said before. Like, they're just throwing that technical stuff out there, and I don't believe the words that come out of his mouth when he speaks on that type of stuff. And more with Lucas Till, I do, and we already saw him he knows how to hold his own. He stood out quite a bit, surprisingly, in X-Men First Class.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, you could easily throw him into a Flash costume, and he's got that good profile, that strong jaw. He's got the build of a runner. If you make a movie or a show where Flash is the superhero and he doesn't have 4 other people to help solve the problems for him, that'd be kind of interesting. I'd like to see that again. I mean, it's strange when you have all these DC superhero shows now, and then you go back to watch Batman from Adam West, and you're like, yeah, Batman is way more capable on his own. Like, he remembers things. He does stuff himself. If he doesn't have an answer, he'll go to the Bat computer, but the Bat computer will only give him part of the answer, and the rest he has to fill in himself because of his own knowledge and expertise. Yep. It's like, wow, that's a hero. I mean, sure, it's got some great jokes and humor and a little bit of silliness to it, but it's like, yeah, he's on his own, and he's got Robin to help him when he can, but he's really showing that, he's a hero. But today you've got, you have Green Arrow, and he's got a security guard, he's got his sidekick, or he's got 3 other sidekicks, and then he's got his hacker girlfriend, and basically he's mitigated to a single dimension. Like, okay, the hacker found out where the bad guy's going to be. The security guy's going to drive the hero to that location. The hero's just going to shoot his arrows at the guy, and that each person has their own individual single dimensional job.
Yeah.
To the point where well, what makes them a hero? Really,
you've nerfed your main character at that point, basically.
Exactly.
You've nerfed your main character.
And then on top of that, you then nerf your villain, because if you make the villain threatening, then the hero can't win.
Yeah. Yeah, because the hero's one-dimensional, so you can't have the villain be more fleshed out than the hero.
Yep.
Have more a well-rounded skill set. It doesn't make sense at that point. Yeah, that's the whole problem with those. Everybody's got to have a team around them. It's like, oh, do they though? No,
the superhero is a superhero because they don't have a team.
Exactly.
They start off on their own to try and make a difference. It's the whole adage: one person can make a difference, and whether it be minimal within a small area or massive by influencing the whole world, it can happen. But
not many of these people, it seems like, can grasp the concept of allegorical storytelling. It's just,
no, definitely not.
It seems lost upon them. Yeah. Allegory, I have no idea what that even means.
Does that go with my tofu and avocado toast?
Is that vegan?
Yeah.
Is that vegan?
Allegory. He invented the internet, right?
They're animal product and myth.
Oh, well, we're going to step out for a brief moment, come back with our Well, we're gonna go into the second topic. 'Cause we killed Batwoman. Batwoman's deed. We'll jump into actually we'll go into.
You didn't do that. They did that.
They did
They
that.
definitely did
They
that.
have done that themselves. We kind of we'll talk about this Ben Affleck returning as Batman. But we'll be back after these commercial messages.
Fuck it, don't think just do.
That was awesome.
Oh, Big Tony made that one, man. I love those little videos he finds on them. Are freaking great. I think that's the Reddit stuff right there, man. Here we go. AT&T rumored to have interest in Ben Affleck returning as Batman in Arkham Knight influenced series. As long as we get Jeremy Irons back as Alfred, because Jeremy Irons, that was one high spot I thought in the Justice League was Jeremy Irons Alfred. Yeah.
Give us a Jeremy Irons cut. Just, the 10 minutes he's in the movie.
Anything with Jeremy Irons is cool with me. I'm good with that.
Oh, you liked Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh, bring that.
He came out swinging.
Oh, he went right to the Uwe Bowl, didn't you? He went right to Uwe Bowl. Damn, man.
I'm sorry. I know the director of that film, and he tried. He has apologized to people that were disappointed. But he tried.
Oh, I have not. I don't even remember the last time I saw that movie. Probably tried to block it out. I think I tried to block it out. It's been previously rumored that there may be interest in AT&T in seeing Ben Affleck return as Batman for a limited series on HBO Max, but an apparent update to these brewing plans has indicated that any such production will take inspiration from an unsuspected source. According to a new scoop by Geekosity, the phone company that owns Warner Media wants Affleck in the cape for a show inspired by the video game Batman Arkham Knight. The site reports that, like the game, Deathstroke will likely serve as the villain for the limited series, which might also delve into the mental state of the Cape Crusader as he continues to deal with the death of Robin. So so I've never played the Arkham Knight game. Was that called The Death in the Family? Was that?
Death in the Family was the death of Tim Drake.
Tim Drake.
Sorry, not Jason Todd. What am I thinking? Yeah, Jason Todd died.
Joker killed Jason Todd in that, right?
Joker killed Jason Todd,
Okay.
yeah. I played Arkham. I have Arkham Asylum and Arkham City for the Xbox 360. I never played Arkham Knight. If the Arkham Knight story is going to be a kind of an unofficial sequel to Death in the Family, that could be interesting to see.
Like I said, I've never played the game, so I wonder if they're bringing. Is Joe Manganiello going to play Deathstroke?
We can hope. It'd be nice to see him actually get to do something with that role.
Right? The dude is like he's a beast. Like he needs to play that role. Like that seems like it's kind of tailor made for him. But I don't know, man. Like it's like when they replaced Flash Thompson in the MCU and you get like the little Indian dude. I'm like, oh, you sweet summer child, you are not Flash. Like. Flash is a bully. Like Flash is supposed to be like bigger and badder than Peter Parker, and you got this
and an
little
athlete.
Yeah, This
Yeah,
kid's like
this
a
is
little
Brash Thompson.
he's
like
like
if
a
he's
little.
getting the nickname of Flash, it has nothing to do with any of it. If it is a physical skill related, it's going to be a flash in the pan of something that you don't want to be a flash in the pan of.
Right?
That's probably his brain power now. You understand?
Like is this
Clearly
kid
not,
like
because we've seen him in
Right.
2 movies and he sucked.
this guy's like
Like,
what
the
is he like a
actor's good, but his character's
cyber?
good.
Is he like a cyber bully? I mean,
No,
all he-
Ned, like, yeah, he's a cyber bully, but Ned's the computer guy.
yeah.
And I liked Ned a lot. I thought, hey, this is a cool take on Ned. I
Yeah,
think I can dig this.
Jacob Batalon's likable.
Yeah.
Like I'll give him that. He's likable. I'm not a big fan of the MCU version of Spider-Man. It's
I only like the costume. I just hate the fact that Iron Man made it.
yeah, it's like Spider-Man is like the world's most recognizable standalone hero. He doesn't need Iron. He's way more recognizable than Iron Man was pre-2008, and even still, he sells more merch than anybody, guaranteed. You can't let him stand on his own. You know, Spider-Man is an Iron Lad.
Yeah,
He
I
is
think
now.
that was that take. I think came from the Ultimates, because I believe there's a couple of issues of Ultimate Spider-Man where Peter Parker does an essay on his hero, which was Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's a good dynamic to have there.
There
And I
is.
do like the relationship between the two. It just
just
doesn't
way
feel
too
authentic.
dependent.
It just doesn't feel authentic to Spider-Man.
That's it.
That's the issue, right? Like they got the
Yep.
costume right.
Yeah.
Like it looks great. It looks way better than what we've seen before.
Yes.
And I'm thinking like it doesn't stretch the possibility that Peter Parker could have sewn something like that and maybe made the mechanical eye thing. But as soon as they started throwing in like, you know, the artificial intelligence support system and like the parachute and all, I'm like Spider-Man doesn't need that. The fact that Spider-Man doesn't have that makes him interesting because now he's got his wits and guile to get out of situations of that nature. But
Right. Well, it seems to me like they took a lot of the really goofy stuff that you used to see them try to have him do with like his webbing and put it into that armor.
Yeah, like the delayed grenade webbing and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, even the parachute, you know, Spider-Man has been known to make parachutes out of his webbing.
Yeah,
and
he made
weird,
in the
goofy stuff
60s
like that.
TV series. He made the parachutes, and then they did it once or twice in the 90s animated thing where he's like, he doesn't know if it's going to work, and it does. He's like, holy crap! Like it's just a long shot type of thing for him. But no, yeah, I understand that completely. It's just it just feels like they pulled something very useful in creating drama for the character away by having Tony Stark be the guy that, you know, has a billion gizmos in Spider-Man's like spandex suit and then gives him the armored suit on top of that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the artificial intelligence is really where I drew the line on that one. Like that was just too much. Like I don't know about you. Obviously, you're somewhat in tune with the 90s cartoon. I love that cartoon, man. And my favorite episode is when the Green Goblin discovers his identity and he has to, you know, wiggle his way out of that after the dinner party.
Yep.
And Green Goblin's like, well, I guess clothes really do make the man. And it just kind of goes to show you, like, yeah, he's in a pinch, but he still uses his brains to get out of it.
Yeah, the Green Goblin and Hobgoblin stuff that they did in the 90s is the only stuff I've noticed that holds up. The rest of the series I rewatched recently, a year or so ago. And yeah, like it's a little tough. I would say like
a little much.
I actually caught a couple episodes recently of the Spectacular Spider-Man, and I'm like, oh, this is actually still pretty solid by comparison. Like it still has some of the biggest flaw with Peter Parker, at least on the writing side of things, is they don't make Peter grow as much as a character compared to all other superheroes within the Marvel verse, or if you want to go into DC or Image or any of those things. They kind of reset him a little too often, because he has like the greatest catchphrase or moral guidance of great power comes great responsibility. So we've seen the great power in all these great comic books, but we never really see the great responsibility. He's always failing at that part.
Right.
And I think it's used as a crutch, especially in the early 2000s when they did the One More Day. Like that's basically the whole idea. Is like, yeah, well, we have this slogan for Spider-Man, but he never meets the expectation, and that's why he does all these stupid things. It's like you're really hurting your readership with that, because even though every comic is somebody's first, it's to the Spider-Man based on like the actual structure and formula of what his character is and stands for. by the time he graduates college and is approaching his 30s, he should be able to be a very smart, very effective hero. Like he should have gone through all this stuff where he knows, oh, I'm not going to promise Mary Jane I'm going to be at her fashion show thing because I know there could be a crime up there. But what I'll do is I'll say, I'm busy, and I'm going to try my darndest to be there, but you know the responsibilities I have. Like, he's going to have to think and learn to think ahead. And that's the one thing Peter Parker doesn't do as much. He's more pragmatic. And there's very entertaining and useful stories of that, but he never just thinks that 2 steps ahead. It's like, you know what? I've been doing this for 2 years. Every time I make a promise, it bites me in the ass. Maybe I should just stop making promises and just say, like, I'm going to try my best because I don't know. And if I am able to keep the promise, all the better. And if I'm not, at least I haven't hurt the person's feelings that I made the promise to. You know, he just doesn't get that. And that's the most frustrating aspect I've had with Spider-Man. The second part being is that he makes no effort to try and help or rehabilitate the criminals that he fights. He sees them as very one-dimensional. He makes fun of them. And like, I think the only one he ever tried was with Harry Osborn when he became the Green Goblin. And that's because of the best friend connection.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a little bit of that with Mysterio as well.
Yeah. I think there's some of that in like was that during like the series where the Ringer and the Mysterio teamed up and he tried to save Mysterio from being like an idiot? I can't remember.
Oh man, yeah, there's been so much.
It kind of goes. Dude, the Spider-Man.
How do we segue back to the article?
I have no idea. At that point.
Well, you know, Mysterio is a special effects guy, and that has a lot to do with a show based upon Batman video game, right? So
there we go.
There we go. Thank
do
you.
it that
way. Taking into account the premise of Rocksteady's conclusion to their Batman trilogy, Geekosity predicts the Robin in question will be Jason Todd, who in universe was thought to have met a similar fate to the one he suffered at the hands of the Joker in the Death of the Family storyline. The new series may get into Batman's head, trying to justify his actions and what he could have done to save Jason, says The Scoop. They add Jason later showed up alive in the game and was unmasked as the titular villain, Arkham Knight, similar to how he's brought back as Red Hood in the 2000s. Deathstroke would allegedly fit in as the one who freed Jason from Arkham, unbeknownst to his former mentor to have survived before his training and guiding to refocusing his anger toward Batman.
I think they've been focusing an awful lot on a dead Robin the past, I don't know, many years now. And anything they try to transition over to TV or cinema, Robin's always dead, unless Robin's like one of the star characters.
Yeah,
they're really milking this Death in the Family thing
way more than they need to.
Yes.
Because I thought Death of the Family is a cool story. It did focus a lot more on Jason Todd than on Batman because he was trying to find his biological mom, and he used all of Batman techniques to do so. And when he does find her, Joker's there and beats the crap out of him and leaves him in a room with a time bomb. And when Batman realizes what's going on, he's too late. And they took it in a really strange direction after that storyline ended, where he dwelled on it too much. Just felt a little out of character, like the way he dwelled on it. Not that he was like regretful he couldn't have saved Jason, but just that he constantly blamed himself, and all the information that he had available to him shows that it wasn't his fault in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, like I know a lot of people have wanted to see Robin dead for a long time, but I think they're taking it a little too far.
Yeah. Like Jason Todd was not a very good Robin. They were trying to go make him very, very different from Dick Grayson, which I commend, but the choices they started with didn't complement the character of Batman the way Robin did originally.
How many Robins have they had now?
6.
Damn, you're right on that script.
Oy vey.
Because I know Stephanie Brown was a Robin, Tim Drake was a Robin, Carrie Kelly was a Robin, and then they have Damian Wayne as a Robin. So yeah, that
wait, Stephanie Brown, the Clue Master's daughter?
Yeah, she was Robin number 4 for a short time after Tim Drake.
Oh wow, okay, because
and her death was faked by Dr. Leslie Tompkins because she got upset that Batman kept on using kids as a sidekick.
Oh jeez. They ruined her character in the Batwoman show.
Yes, they did.
Oh my God!
But that actress should have been playing Batwoman to begin with.
Oh, the one that was playing Stephanie.
Yep.
Yeah, I could have seen that. I could have seen that one. And here's how we'll close out the night with Daisy Ridley rumored to reprise her role as Rey in Star Wars.
No.
Much to the dismay of everybody who's a Star Wars fan that still cares anyway.
Yeah. Remember, this is just some other interviewer asking Daisy Ridley if she'd like to play Rey again.
Yeah.
And no actor's going to say no to a potential job, especially considering the fact that her experiences with Star Wars was not as contentious as some of the other people.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got a lot of stuff lined up for work. Although there was a story, I think, winter of last year, where she was worried that she wasn't going to have a whole lot of work.
Yep.
Which felt, I was like, I don't know. She's clearly got some secrets that no one else knows, because I'm looking at her slate, not just on IMDb, but also like in some of the communities that I'm connected to. And it's like, no, she's got at least 4 years worth of work steady coming up. I don't know why she's worried about this.
Yeah, that's the thing. And the project that I heard that they were talking about bringing her back, well, one of them anyway, that was rumored with her name attached to it, was an animated series. It wasn't anything live action. Mm-hmm. But that was a couple months ago. So, I mean, it is what it is there. But that was I hadn't heard anything about her coming back in live action. But, yeah, like you said, nobody's going to turn down work. I mean,
not an actor. I mean, the other part too is like work for actors is few and far between. Same thing with producers and writers and directors. And it's part of the reason why whenever I hear someone use the term Hollywood elite, I have a big smile on my face, because there's nothing elite about the Hollywood people. Like, unless you're at the very, very, very top, there's no way elite is associated with you. Like, I've been to meetings where executives that are well known throughout the world have shown up in sweatpants and a wife beater with cigarette burn holes in them and be like, okay, let's just get this over and done with quick, because we got stuff to do. Like, there's no, like, it's not always as fancy and glamorous as it is on the red carpet or in the stockholder meetings or in the press junket. It's like, I've worked with execs who I've had to turn and ask, like, did you shower this week? And these are some pretty good names, like names that have done some movies that you love. Just, the thing is, like, they're so encompassed with work that they don't care about all the little things or the presentation so much, unless they actually have to have the cameras rolling on them.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason why when you see Steven Spielberg directing, he's in like jeans and a casual shirt. He's not wearing a formal suit, and he's looking as comfortable and casual as he can. That's just the way it is. A lot of people, they don't work every day of the year. They maybe work a few days a month, and then they have to make that money last as long as they can. And it's really difficult to do, because so much is especially if you live in California, where prices are expensive. Like, everything is high, and it can drain a bank account very fast if you're not working steadily.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, when they go out there, they have this rule, which is like, okay, if I'm going to be in LA and I'm going to be working, my goal is to work at least 100 days. And that's a hard goal to reach.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's see, you're well, it's crabs in a bucket.
It is, because there's
crabs in a bucket.
They call it a small town, but I mean, it's small in one regard, which is that a lot of people do know everybody else, but it's big because there's so many people there doing it.
Yeah.
So, and everybody has that 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon-ness to everyone else, which is why they call it the small town. Like, I can guarantee you, with a lot of the screenwriters and directors that you see on other channels on YouTube, I probably know someone that knows someone that knows them, and vice versa for them to me, and so forth. And then we may never have met, but we'll be like, oh yeah, I know who they are. I think they're great or whatever, because that's part of the conversation that we have in order to make sure that we can be respectful, and hopefully maybe if we do end up working together, it starts on a good foot as opposed to a bad one.
Yeah.
So whenever someone does throw out the Hollywood elite stuff, it's like, we got to remember, it's like 3 people pretty much at some point, and those 3 people change constantly. So yeah, you gotta be careful.
Definitely not Weinstein anymore, right?
Yeah, Weinstein's gone. Right now, you've got basically Bob Iger, Chapek, Kennedy are the most talked about right now. Jerry Bruckheimer isn't even considered an Hollywood elite anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when's the last time you heard Bruckheimer in anything that's not syndicated at this point?
Good point.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So like, I mean, that's just kind of like even Ann Sarnoff. She's like Hollywood legacy, but only through marriage. But she's not elite. I mean,
Well, I mean, I think it would make sense that Daisy's trying to keep options open, considering the current climate, especially. Like, I mean, Hollywood kind of got hit with this COVID thing. Are we allowed to say that? I don't remember anymore.
It's 2 hours, and I think we're good.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've said worse earlier on.
No, yeah. I mean, anytime an actor talks about a role, take it with a grain of salt because they're just all they want is the work, and I don't blame them for saying whatever they can to get that job. At least in the polite rhetoric, of course. If they say something's very stupid and contentious, then it's like, well, you're barking up the wrong tree there. But yeah, I mean, I would be more concerned if a studio head says, yes, we want to bring back Ray. Like that's but that's where the news actually is. Not
She's
from
just
the
thinking
actors,
Disney money. Yeah, I'm open to that.
Yeah, nobody's gonna turn down that Disney money.
Yeah, maybe this next thing I do with Ray will actually have my action figures sell. You know.
Yeah, they won't just be peg warmers. Let's see, right next to Rose Tico and Vice Admiral Gender Studies. The rumor comes to us from Drew Deitch at Giant Freaking Robot. Deitch claims we have learned that Daisy Ridley is currently in talks with the powers that be at Disney and Lucasfilm to return as Rey in some upcoming Star Wars project. As for what that project is, Deitch did not provide any details. Ridley hasn't fully closed the book on the possibility of returning as Rey, although she has said she felt satisfied with Rey's ending in The Rise of Skywalker. Back in November, while promoting the box office failure Chaos Walking, she discussed the possibility of returning to the role of Rey in a Disney Plus series. She told IGN, I think for me, the beauty of episode 9 is it ends with such hope and such potential. I just feel like that was Rey's perfect ending. The big battle was in episodes 7, 8, and 9. I really think she's probably running around the forest somewhere having a great time, she added. Ridley went on to say, I feel totally satisfied with how the story finished. I just don't know what else she could do that I didn't have to do.
Sounds like word salad, doesn't it?
This is basically word salad. And that's the thing is, like, I don't have anything against Daisy Ridley. The character was just meh. That was basically it, and I guess, like, I don't know, people like her in Murder in the Orient Express. I guess Chaos Walking wasn't that good with her and Tom Holland. I haven't seen it yet.
That is just a silly science fiction film that doesn't live up to its premise.
That's kind of what I got from all the reviews I watched on it. Was like, it doesn't sound like it was what it said it was, so yeah, that's Daisy, sweetheart.
They're subverting expectations,
Yeah, still, did Ryan Johnson shadow write that one?
I don't know, but this is actually really interesting because we can compare the two articles. So we had one article from Geekosity about the studio interested in Ben Affleck coming back as Batman for an Arkham Knight series, which has more credence. And then you have another article where an actor is talking about reprising the role for something else where the studio has made no mention of future projects with this character. Yeah. So which one is more likely to believe? The one that actually has the power to do it, or the one that has the power to say yes to the offer?
Oh, it's the Ben Affleck one. I mean, they're calling him out by name and saying, "Hey, we want Ben Affleck back. We want to spend the money. We're going to bring you back and design this show around you with this premise." Yeah, it's not Daisy Ridley going, "Oh yeah, I'd reprise the role." And no executives or anybody's contacted her and said, "Hey, what would you think about coming back if we, built a story up?" That's not happening.
Yeah, and the thing is, this is like what's called like desperate baiting from journalists. This has been happening for decades. It's when a journalist that doesn't have a story or a headline or anything goes up to a celebrity and says, "Hey, remember that role you did a few years back? Would you like to reprise that role?" And now there's a story, and then in some cases they even have a point where the actor who wants to reprise the role will reach out to them and say, "Hey, listen, there's no movement on this movie that we've been trying to get. Let me tell you some of these details that no one else knows. It'll be a good story for the paper, and hopefully it'll reciprocate by generating interest into what we're doing." And we've seen this a number of times more recently with Bad Robot whenever they talk about a Star Trek 4.
Yeah.
I think in the last 2 years, there's been 4 attempts at trying to reinvigorate a Star Trek 4 interest.
Was it supposed to be Noah Hawley at one point?
Yeah, Noah Hawley had an idea. They baited Quentin Tarantino for a spell. Now they have this other script that one of the writers from Star Trek Discovery apparently submitted based on assignment to Paramount that may or may not move. I don't know at this point. It's really up in the air. But they're desperate because, again, they can't find funding. And oddly enough, this is the year, I think this is the actual year where Bad Robot's contract for presenting Star Trek films is up, which means that anyone else can come in and do it, and Bad Robot won't have any association with it.
Huh. Yeah.
And Secret Hideout is filming as much as content as they can for this year, because this is also their last year. And the goal is to do Picard season 2 and 3 back to back, and then Discovery season 4 and 5 back to back, and then release them once the contract is done, so that they are able to occupy the airing window of content until someone new comes over to take over the reins of Star Trek, and they don't end up having a gap between Star Trek series. That's what it appears to be going on right now.
Whatever happened to that? Weren't they supposed to do a Section 31 show?
Yeah.
Like that was like, that's been floating around for...
It's been floating around since the first season.
I was going to say
2016.
Yeah, it's been forever.
Yeah, it's almost catching up to the amount of development that the Flash movie has had before they roll film.
Yeah, like I said, that Flash movie's been around for a minute.
I think it's been 7 or 8 years, because they were talking about it during Batman v Superman, which was, 2013? Or 2014?
Wait, wasn't that 15?
Well, 15 is when it came out, but
okay, so yeah, it's 2014.
So yeah, 2014. So 7 years. Yeah.
Yep. So it's basically it's kind of like New Mutants then. It's in that.
Except they haven't rolled film. I mean, they just started rolling film this year. But yeah, kind of like New Mutants, which I feel for everybody who worked on that, because that suffered greatly.
I thought that movie, if it would have stuck to its original horror premise, and had it not been for the buyout and they could have developed a sequel, would have had more legs to it. I didn't hate that movie. I the one thing I appreciated about the Fox X-Men universe was they took chances. Some of them were misses, but they always swung.
Yeah.
You know, they took chances, unlike Marvel and Disney, they play things relatively safe, formulaic, because they know what'll sell. And
well, they've built their formula since Disney got involved, and this was like a little thing on Twitter that I mentioned the other day, which is Paramount was foolish to sell their agreement with Marvel Studios to Disney, and then Disney here's the other part too. So Marvel is technically its own entity. It's under Disney exclusively for the time being, but it's not technically owned by Disney. I've been learning this in more detail recently, is that Marvel could just not make a new contract with Disney down the road, but I don't think they will, because Disney has Buena Vista as their distributor, which is a massive distribution company. But Paramount, if Paramount didn't sell those rights to Disney, I think we would have had a far more interesting and exciting Marvel Cinematic Universe, because Paramount was all behind the Demon in the Bottle storyline for Iron Man 2. And Disney came in to start negotiations while they were still developing that script. And that's what ended up happening with Iron Man 2, is like they didn't commit to that idea. They started mixing up Crimson Dynamo with Whiplash, and all these other ideas were floating around. And some of the producers on the Marvel side of things that were really, really keen on solidifying this deal with Disney, because again, Disney was a bigger company than Paramount at the time, just had butted heads with Jon Favreau over the story direction, and with the screenwriter as well, whose name is escaping me at the moment. And that caused an issue, because again, after Iron Man 2, Jon Favreau was kind of temporarily excommunicated from the film industry for a little bit. he had to make his independent movie Chef to sort of get back in the good graces with everybody.
And that's a shame because Favreau's talented. I like Jon Favreau.
I adore him too. He's one of the guys I would love to work with, even in the most like smallest capacity. Like, you know, if he says, "Hey, I'm going to hire a script doctor to get me coffee," I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it."
Right?
Just to hang out with Favreau for like 30 seconds a day or what have you.
Yep.
Because you don't never know what you can learn in that 30 seconds.
Yeah.
My dream is to one day hear script doctors say, "Yeah, that Ray Gaze is somebody I would really like to work with."
Well, I'm always happy to stream with you, so I would call that working. So that's always awesome. But like he did Chef, and that got him back into good graces with the industry. And he did Cowboys and Aliens, which didn't do so well, but people still thought like, yeah, he pulled off something that was kind of tricky.
It was kind of fun.
To a lesser extent. And luckily, his contract with his character as Happy Hogan in the Marvel films allowed him to still be able to communicate with some of the people that he may have burned some bridges with, and he was able to rebuild that and help shepherd the MCU to where it was, because he was involved in a lot of the direction of the films once he got back onto the good graces after the Avengers and all that stuff. And now he's jumped over to Star Wars, and I like the concept of the Mandalorian and what he's trying to do. I just don't think that the quality of writing is where it should be for what Star Wars needs at this moment. But we'll see what's going to happen there as time goes on. I mean, if they win some Emmys, that's going to be great clout for the industry for them. And we're going to see he's working on Book of Boba Fett right now. So if that delivers strongly, that'll be good for Favreau and for the Disney brand. And I mean, who knows what that could lead to as things go on.
I saw somebody post in one of the groups on Facebook today. I think it was Geeks and Gamers. Another, guys, Kathleen Kennedy. I said, stop right there. I said, look, you can say somebody is going to not be working somewhere for 10 years straight. And in that 10th year when they retire, and they retire of their own accord, and they walk out the door and they're like, all right, I'm done. See you guys later. Just that doesn't make you right. All right. I'm like, stop it. We've been hearing this since 2018. Kennedy's gone. Just, they're not going to fire her.
Yeah. Can we not make that news until it happens? Please?
Yeah. The sheer optics of them firing probably one of the most powerful and influential women in Hollywood. Correct me if I'm wrong, script.
No, she is.
Yeah, is because she is entrenched. I mean, she's married to Gary freaking Marshall.
Frank Marshall. Gary Marshall passed away.
Frank. I'm sorry.
That's okay. The less Jewish Marshall.
the less Jewish one. But no, it is. It's just like, yeah, she's not going anywhere, guys. She's there. She's going to be there until she wants to leave. Like like she said, Iger kind of, he's got his own political aspirations down the road. So he's not going to ruffle any feathers on his way out. He's kind of just setting up, as Tony said, trans non-binary CEO Bob Chapek.
That's my favorite.
Well,
that's my favorite thing in the world right now.
Yeah, like Chapek has played some interesting cards right now with regards to the direction of Disney. We know Kathleen Kennedy's on a vacation, but she's also working on the 5th Indiana Jones film, which I think is probably going to be her curtain call, so to speak.
Yep, her swan song.
And the other part too is like I've said this too as well. Like, she's going to go when she wants to go. Like, she goes when she goes. That's it. Like, it's. I mean, there's not going to be any form of like justice against her actions on the studio side of things. That's not how it works. That's not how it normally works. And Disney is still much of the old guard. Like, what's happening over at Warner Brothers, AT&T, there's going to be some heads rolling over there. That's going to be considered a form of justice, if you will, for some of the fans of those properties. But on Disney's side of things, it's like, no, we're just going to play this out. We're going to maneuver some things. We're going to make sure that whatever separation happens, it's amicable and it's not going to hurt anyone else's career as time goes on.
Yep.
The only thing you have to keep an eye on is what's going on with the Disney Story Group that Kathleen Kennedy put together. If that stays, there's not going to be any real change. The other part too is that I I've never heard anyone saying they want to work with anyone who's at the story group. At all. Like, and has told that to their faces.
Yeah.
Because again, like, just because you work for Disney in a story group and stuff, unless you're signed to an exclusivity contract, you can work on other stuff. And it's happened. There's not a problem. And the thing is, we're not seeing their names come up for anything else. There's that little brief controversy on Amazon with the Ken Flint book. Is his name Ken Flint? I think.
Yeah. I can't
Heart
remember.
of the Jedi.
Yeah, Heart of the Jedi. Yeah.
I read the first chapter. I think it's horrible. No disrespect to the writer of that. I just don't think it just didn't. Read it. I'm like, this is not Luke Skywalker. That was just me. Okay. But if other people like it, and the fact that it was selling better than any of the High Republic stuff does mean something. I mean, this was a book that was submitted, approved on the treatment by George Lucas and the publishing wing, but then scrapped for whatever reasons. We don't know. I suspect it's because, again, Luke Skywalker felt unrecognizable. It's basically to spoil the first chapter, the Empire, a Star Destroyer, is running away from a rebellion or a Republic cruiser in the same vein as the opening of A New Hope. And it's then boarded by Luke Skywalker, who wears a black helmet and then draws his lightsaber and just starts mowing down stormtroopers. And then kills one of the captains and then takes off his helmet and says, "Why did they not surrender?" And like that, everything about that is not Luke Skywalker. And
no,
the journey of Luke Skywalker is farm boy turned rebel. And that's from the first movie. In the second movie, it's rebel learning the ways of the Force. And then the third movie is rebel becoming a Jedi. And and the thing is, when you get rid of the rebel aspect, that's him no longer killing people indiscriminately. Because the last person he technically kills is a stormtrooper, and he doesn't actually kill the stormtrooper. He just chops off the antenna on the top of that speeder bike, and then the guy goes whirling out of control, and then it blows up. And that comes down to the ultimate lesson that Yoda teaches in Empire, which is knowledge and defense, never attack. And every lesson that Luke learns in Empire Strikes Back, he fails when he faces Vader. He draws his weapon first. He tries to attack first. He doesn't listen to his feelings and then, has to retreat. And it's a very hard fail for him. And it's something that's really important to have. Like if they made Luke, not have to constantly be berated by Yoda, being told I'm trying to teach you what you need to learn and you're not paying attention and you keep making the same mistakes. And that's why you need more training and whatnot. And then in Return of the Jedi, he's told you have to face Vader again. And instead of interpreting it as saving Vader from the dark side, he interprets it as the rebel, which is I got to kill him. And that's where Obi-Wan's like, well, then the Emperor has already won, because if you kill Vader, you become Vader. Like that's the path to the dark side, is to cross that threshold of the point of no return, so to speak, right? And then that was the kind of like the lesson that Return of the Jedi has, is that the Jedi doesn't need to kill the Sith in order to stop the Sith. They need to just convince the Sith to walk away from such perspective. And only a hero can do that. To do that in reality, that's really hard to do, right? To convince someone that's a horrible war criminal or whatever, give up your path and come over here, and then have them face punishment, but put them on a path of redemption. That's really hard to do. But in fantasy, with heroes and villains, you can do that, and it becomes inspirational and elevates them to that level of aspiration that we otherwise don't get in our real life. And that's what made Luke Skywalker a hero. And that's what I really liked about the Heir to the Empire and the Thrawn trilogy, is that Timothy Zahn took that aspect of Luke Skywalker, of the non-violent approach, the more guile and the appealing to a person's inner good and strength, and he carried that over into that trilogy, at least far more effectively than I've seen in some other parts. And yes, NaNoWriMo, Scout Trooper. They've been known to change helmets from time to time, but yes, absolutely, it was a Scout Trooper. But yeah, that's what I think is the philosophy of the Jedi, and and even though the EU books kind of bounces back and forth from that from time to time, because again they don't have the same ability to capture the general audience's imagination through the book itself. So in order to offset that, they'll be like, okay, Luke Skywalker is going to fight off a whole bunch of stormtroopers or robots or something with lightsabers, or, you know, the Il Salamir creature has deflated his force power, so now he's got to use his his physical abilities to you know, defeat the bad guy or get away from something. So you have those action set pieces on the written word of things to sort of paint the picture in your imagination as you're reading it, to get you that excitement that you get from the films. And you know, it's tricky because you can't follow through the narrative style of what those original 3 movies achieved 100% in the books if you want the books to be read to completion. Because you know, some kids are like, they see it on a superficial level at first, which is like, yeah, it's lightsabers and blowing up Death Stars and space battles and stuff like that. So you want to inject that into your novels. And as you get older, you start to realize that, oh yeah, there's a little bit more depth to this. And sure, some of the special effects and cinematography in Return of the Jedi is not on the same level as the previous films, but you know, the heart's still kind of there.
Yeah.
And that's what you get to appreciate as you get older, is like the heart of it. It's like, yes, the cool lasers and the special effects and, you know, the father-son dynamic that pulled me in as a kid. But as an adult, it's like, I look at this and I'm thinking, yeah, no, there's some life lessons in here. That's some good universal life lessons in here. It's like, sometimes you just need to talk with the person that you disagree with, and maybe you can find some sort of common ground and move from there. And it's not just black and white. And, you know,
I was always kind of wondering if there wasn't a little bit of reverse psychology there with Obi-Wan in Return of the Jedi, because he was like, okay, last time we were sitting on this log in this position next to the X-wing, we told this dude everything to do. He's like, nah, I'm going to do it my way. So maybe if I just tell him, okay, you're going to need to kill Darth Vader, he's going to find another way.
Yeah. No, I think there's some actually awesome aspects to that, because if we didn't have the prequel trilogy, if we didn't have the EU novels, the one thing that you can kind of infer from the original trilogy is that Obi-Wan as a younger man trained Anakin Skywalker and failed, and that created Darth Vader. But Obi-Wan as an older man trained Luke Skywalker, and then went to an even older trainer of Yoda and trained him, and now Luke became a good Jedi. And that pattern suggests that only a Jedi with many decades of experience and wisdom has the ability to train another Jedi. And that's where Obi-Wan failed. His arrogance, because he does have an arrogance to him that allows him to battle wits with Han Solo and stay always a couple steps ahead of him. And I think that if you take a look into the math of that, it's like, yeah, you need an experienced Jedi who's faced all those types of apprehensions, those challenges, those doubts and whatnot, in order to have the confidence needed to eradicate those same feelings from a potential Jedi pupil. And then at the same time, once you learn all the skills you have, you then have to put them in practice for many decades before you're able to pass on those same lessons that took you so long to learn them yourself into another Jedi. And if you don't do that, you get Darth Vader. And that I think that's kind of interesting. And that's why my headcanon at the time is like, okay, so if a Jedi lives to almost 100, they're probably at the perfect age to start teaching other Jedi. You know, because they've got that experience, they've got that wisdom, they've lived the life that the student has already lived, and they're far enough away from it to know the lessons that they're teaching are correct, as opposed to someone who's like midway there, who's like, you know, I exactly understand what mindset you're in because I've been there and I'm still kind of there, so I can, like, you know, allow some latitude to your resistance. Right. And that can be detrimental, and that's why the Force is dangerous, and you have to have that discipline and those things of that nature. And but then they threw all those philosophies out the window with the prequel trilogy, and and if you didn't have the prequel trilogy, you could make a great argument that the Emperor isn't a real character, just like a Tyler Durden Force manifestation of Darth Vader. Yeah. Like it works if you ignore everything else and just focus on those 3 movies. It's like, oh, we never see the Emperor until the 3rd film. The only time we kind of see him in the 2nd film is in a holographic projection, which could not even be real. It could all be in Vader's head. And the only way other people know that the Emperor exists is maybe it's an elaborate Jedi mind trick, you know, and when, you know, it just has corporeal form temporarily because Vader's that powerful of a Jedi, and he's able to, like, force lightning Luke, and it's real in every sense of the word. But once he picks up the Emperor and throws him over that railing, and it just turns into energy. It's like, yeah, that's him literally throwing the devil off his back, the Tyler Durden thing, shooting himself in the face type of stuff. And, you know, he's weakened by it, and he's about to die because that casting out that evil influence does a lot of damage to the body, so to speak. Like, you could have completely run with that without any doubt and have tons of theoretical videos and essays and stuff done at, but all that's thrown out because of the expanded universe novels and the prequel trilogy, which perfectly all fine, but you just don't have that just robs you of having that type of speculative fun that you could have had had that not been the case.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Whoa, that. I never really thought about it. Like
I never thought about it like that either.
No, that's crazy though to think about the Emperor being like you said, Tyler Durden type figure. Yeah, he's kind of like that, Kaiser Soze. Does he exist at all?
Yeah, exactly like that, because that's the fun thing that you can have, and it's almost like an antithesis to like the Force Ghost. So when a Jedi dies, they become one with the Force and communicate by a Force Ghost. Well, what is that? How does that work with the dark side? Is it dark side? They don't become Force Ghosts, so to speak, at least not in the established canon. But could the dark side manifest something corporeal into our universe in order to pervert potential Jedi into being on the dark side, and thus make the dark side stronger? And you have that type of a cool concept of mystic war and stuff, because I love the magic aspect of the Force. Once they try to inject a bit more science into it, it takes away the spirituality of it.
Yeah, agreed.
The whole midichlorian thing.
Oh,
which I mean, that's contended to. Some people argue it was from the beginning. Others say it was made in the prequels. I think it was only made in the prequels, and if it was in the beginning, it was not properly conveyed, because there is a trilogy of books of like the Children of the Jedi trilogy, and one of the books is the Crystal Star, and there's a character in there named Tigris, and he's the child of two Jedi, so to speak, like one dark Jedi and one extremely powerful Force user, but Tigris has no Force ability at all. So if midichlorians did exist, he should have the Force abilities. So yeah, but since they didn't in that book, he doesn't, and it's more of a random thing. Like the Force picks who has the power, so to speak, or who has the ability to get the power. And
I always kind of figured the midichlorian thing came up simply for convenience to say, look, Anakin's really powerful.
It's basically a measurement.
Yeah, and I've always looked at it more as, okay, like people were upset because they're like, okay, well, yeah, these little, microbes are now like the creators of the Force. But I never looked at it that way. I looked at it more along the lines of, okay, people who are really powerful in the Force might attract, these creatures that just that just kind of dwell on their skin, like we all have, but we don't see them.
And it's all elaborated on that one line where, like, Yoda says, "The Force is strong in your family." It's like, ugh. Yeah, and there's a difference between.
You need to shower, man.
There's a difference between the line. I was amazed of how strongly the Force was with him, and the Force is strong in your family. Those are different. The Force being with you is the strength, like how strong the Force is with you, is different because it's a companion. But then when you say that line, it's like, well, it's no longer really a companion; it's a part of you, and that kind of spins a little bit or backtracks a little bit on the what we have learned so far with just watching those movies of what the Force actually is. And I think it would have served better for the story if that original idea was held on more fervently. As like, yes, it's a companion. It controls your actions, but also obeys your commands, so to speak, right? And so yeah.
Damn.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, the midichlorian thing was kind of
you could still have fun with it. I mean, I always speculated the idea like, oh, harvest midichlorians, make super Jedi, and then someone else in the actual book writing world figured that out as well, and then they had to write a book to explain why they can't do that.
I'll be honest, the prequels kind of dashed a lot. Like I didn't hate the prequels, but there was a lot to them that I didn't care for, because I was always kind of the mind, like what you were talking about, script with, like, the older the Jedi, the more the more competent they are, the more able they might be to train someone. I've always looked at people like Yoda and the Emperor as like they were that in tune with the Force. They were that powerful. Yeah. They didn't need a lightsaber, right? They were above that. They were so far beyond a physical combat that it was, it just was unnecessary. And then to watch them both break out lightsabers in the prequels, I was like, oh, come on.
Well, look,
I did the Joe Biden. I was like, "Come on, man!"
Well, look at what Sidious was able to do with his mind. Creating force storms, and he clouded. Well, that's one thing he did do mentally in the prequels, was he clouded the Jedi's vision of what he was actually doing. That he was a Sith Lord, and that's how powerful he was with the Force. that was one thing that I dug. But yeah, he could create in the EU. I know Sidious could create force storms, and I mean,
really drive the Jedi mad without them knowing it.
Yeah.
But I still, like, to this day, I've watched the prequel trilogies multiple times. I cannot give you a definitive reason as to why there's a separatist movement in the galaxy.
You know, I couldn't figure that out outside of them talking about like trade disputes and stuff like that. And
I mean, even when I go to the books, it's like the explanation's in the books to a point, but it's like you really need that in the film in order for me to grasp the concept. It's like, okay, planets are leaving. Why? Well, the Republic is ignoring them. Okay, can you establish that in a better circumstances than a trade dispute on Naboo 10 years prior to the actual separatist movement?
Yeah, it didn't. They didn't flesh it out well. I like the prequels for the world building. Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith is my third favorite Star Wars movie.
Revenge of the Sith should have been the second movie.
I love that one.
No, that one is basically, it's a very dense, tightly compacted film.
Yeah,
I love Palpatine's speech to Anakin in the Opera House, where he's basically kind of saying that Darth Plagueis created Anakin.
Yep.
Which is really interesting because it's like Darth Plagueis created Anakin, then Sidious killed Darth Plagueis, and then years later he goes to Naboo and he's like, wait a minute, holy crap, Darth Plagueis pulled it off. He created a Force child. I'm going to manipulate the hell out of this kid and get ultimate power.
Have you ever heard the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise? It's not a tale the Jedi would tell you. Yeah, there's one thing I can do a better Palpatine with my voice like this.
But like, that was what was implied in the story, and then they just completely changed that again right after, because it's like, oh wait, I mean, you're seeing like an actual connective tissue here. It's like, but then they tried to say, oh no, Palpatine created him. It's like, nah, I don't think so. Like, if he created him, he would not need to convince Luke Skywalker to join him on his side. You just kill Anakin, restart all over.
Right?
It's just way easier.
Just a reboot. He's just rebooting it.
I only got a husk of a guy in a head. It's like, I can't kill him.
What am I supposed to do with this?
I'm already the emperor by this point. I might as well just kill him and make a new kid, and in 20 years I've got like a human kid of force powers that's under my thumb and what have you. Like, who cares? Like that's the logic you'd have at that point, right?
Right.
It's like, why save him if you made him in the first place? It's like, no, I'll just make another. You know, because that's the dark side for you. It's like, there's no compassion.
If he made him, why is he just allowing him to be in the hands of this wacky junk dealer in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah,
like, why wasn't he under his thumb?
Yeah, because Plagueis did it on the outskirts, on the outer rim, where he couldn't be found, and probably Plagueis was probably going to go over there and get him afterwards. But then Palpatine killed him.
Yep.
But no, like the rule of two, cool concept and stuff, but not sustainable.
No.
But like interesting to play around with. I like how it's done in the books. I think Darth Raven? There's a Raven, and then there's another Darth Bane. Darth Bane, is that the other guy?
That's another one from the book that I remember.
Really cool stories there. I mean, there's been some really interesting takes on that lore and mythos in Star Wars, but again, it is a muddied mess. And when Disney did the controversial thing of saying we're wiping it out, it's like, I understand why, but you really shouldn't.
Yeah, that's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it does make sense in a sense where you have this whole basically society of just backstabbers and liars that are constantly trying to one up each other. It does make sense. You'd want to pare that down a bit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the other part too is like the philosophy I find interesting is that in the original trilogy, you've got this promotion of stretching out with your feelings, listen to your feelings, your thoughts betray you, all that type of stuff on the Jedi side of things. And then you hear the Jedi code, and it's like, there is no passion, there's only truth. It's like very, very Vulcanish. And it's like, that doesn't seem what I've saw in the movies. Like, that doesn't make it. And then you have the passion stuff on the Vader, on the dark side of things. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can get that with the evil, but like, shouldn't the evil be cold and detached, but only driven by power and using anger as strength? And then the Force is like love and compassion and unity and wisdom. And like the two sort of like codas don't feel like they properly represent what we visually saw in some of the movies.
Yeah,
you're sitting back going, why the Sith did nothing wrong. The Sith did nothing wrong. On that note, guys, we gotta knock off here because I gotta get some sleep.
Likewise, yes.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Script, for joining us. Let me toss it over to Red Gaze first here, the assistant to the regional manager, and go ahead and tell the peeps where they can find you the rest of the week and what you got going on, brother.
What's up, guys? Red Gaze on YouTube, at the Red Gaze on Twitter. As for the week, I don't have a ton planned right now, but still always out there pushing SUNSWORN, guys. So if you haven't checked it out, please do so. You can find that at sunsworn.com. Just an ever expanding universe that's just going to get bigger and bigger and better and better. And I also have a few other projects in the works with Katie and some other people. But guys, that's thanks for having me, Tep. Sorry I showed up late and pulled a senior moment on you.
It's all right, man. It's all right. It happens, brother. It happens.
You're kidding. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get a blanket, going to go in my armchair, take a nap.
Script, it was really good to talk to you again, man.
Oh, yeah, likewise, sir. It's been too long.
Absolutely. And hail to the chat. Cannot forget the chat. You guys are awesome.
Thank you, Red. I appreciate it, man. And let me kick it over to our special guest for the evening, the Script Doctor.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me on. Again, this is, I think, the second time I've been on your channel.
Yes, sir.
It's been awesome. I do want to do this again and talk more Batwoman with you because that's the only good thing that comes out of that show, or the conversations.
I know, man.
So I had a blast tonight. Great talking with everybody here. Tony, wherever you went, I hope to see you again. Probably got late or an internet connection, who knows. ETAP, always a pleasure. Great with Red Gaze. Thanks so much for the chat, for hanging in there with us tonight and humoring me on all the weird segues and off-topic conversations we've been having. It's been a blast, and I have fun. I want to do this again too, as soon as we can.
Oh, absolutely. We'll probably have you back on around the season finale of Batwoman, so we can just sit down and we'll just talk about Batwoman for a Monday night.
Nice.
That'll be we'll tear that apart. Hi. I'm Etep Okuin. How you doing, guys? Thank you all for watching this evening. Brutal Morningwood, Jacob Archer Barton, Fizchozo, Greg Levitri, hail sir. Lodanis was in the chat. What up, brother? Nano Reaper is going to be coming on after the finale of Prodigal Son. We'll be breaking that down. So thank you, Nano Reaper. Keely Chow, the Fandom Menace Ultron, Glinzer, Frankie Knows. I saw Vinny Art up in here. Darius Munchausen. Who else was on? Lola Meats was in here. Zachariah 315, and everybody else. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate you. We hit 674 subscribers. We got to keep them numbers moving up. I appreciate it, man. I dropped that Batwoman video I worked on for way too long today, but that's out there if you guys haven't checked that out yet. It's 23 minutes long, I know, but trust me, I make them entertaining. I suffer so you don't have to. You can laugh at my pain. Because that episode hurt. It hurt my brain a lot. Like I said, open this up like Ray Liotta and Hannibal. It's Quaker Oats up in this piece right now. But let's see. So what have I got going on? Tomorrow you're going to get a daily short out of me. And then I'll be on... whose channel are we on for Rogue Squadron, Red?
That's a very good question. I'm not sure if that's been discussed with all the nonsense
I don't know.
that's been flying around. Hopefully we'll figure that out sometime tomorrow morning.
Yeah. I'll let you guys know on Twitter where I'm going to be tomorrow night at 6:30 for Rogue Squadron. But after Rogue Squadron, I'm going to have to dip out of that around 8:15 because at 9 p.m. I get to go over and hang out with my boy Fanzine, who just released a beautiful 50-minute documentary called Why We Still Love 80s Movies. And that hit me right in the feels, man. That was
a great talk.
Oh, he did a phenomenal job putting that together. We'll be talking about one of my favorite horror movies, Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, Zombie Jason. Well, not Zombie Jason, but I just affectionately call him Zombie Jason. He's not a zombie. I know. You can put the pitchforks down. But we'll be talking Friday the 13th, Part 6 tomorrow, which is my favorite Friday the 13th movie. And Wednesday, you'll get your Prodigal Son finale. I'll have a single release video, then me and Nano Reaper are going to either record something or do a live stream about that. But Wednesday night is ladies night here. It'll be myself, Katie the meteorologist from So Many Random Fandoms, Vassy Reviews, and Lola will be joining us. So just be me and the ladies on Wednesday night. I'll have a special ladies night intro or some shit done up too. So I'll have something for that. Thursday you get the morning show. Hour and a half of me rambling and bumbling and stumbling, stuttering through my words and my coffee while I entertain you guys on your drive to work in the morning. And yeah, I'm going to have to take the weekend off because I have to go cut some trees down this weekend. Yes, I do actual manly things outside of YouTube. I am a country boy, and I do like to play with chainsaws. So I have to go cut some trees down for my father-in-law and probably have a few cervezas. So thank you guys so much for joining. It's been wonderful. My voice is held out. I'm happy about that. I have to go back to work tomorrow. I've been off for like almost a week now. So yeah, they asked me to, are you coming back? I'll come back tomorrow. I'll be back. So I will catch you guys on the flip side. I'm Itepwa, Queen of the Place to Be Reviews. I've been here with all of yous, and let me stumble through this while I find my outro. If I don't see you, have a great day, a pleasant tomorrow, and I'll catch you on the next one. Star-Lord, you toxic white male son of a bitch, take us home.
Boom!